Just look for the AFL button.
Something big is coming, I know.
Sydney have been a force of nature this year, but for only the second time they enter a game off a loss. While for St Kilda, it's been a year of regression under Ross Lyon. It is the 9th annual Pride game between these two clubs aimed at promoting inclusion in our game. Welcome beneath the lid at Docklands for Sunday footy here on ABC Sport. Ben Cameron to call all of the action alongside Joel Peterson. The record breakers are here. The coaching games record holder Mick Malthouse and also Brent Harvey. We'll get to them in a moment. But Joel, firstly, welcome along. What are you looking forward to today?
G'day, Benny. A beautiful day here in Melbourne as well under the lid here at Docklands. I'm looking forward to seeing the Swans. You live on the south side of town, Ben.
Yes.
Have you taken a walk around Albert Park Lake recently?
No, but I know at my favourite pub they have an oil painting of I think it's the 1924 South Melbourne side.
So the old South Melbourne ground at Lakeside
not far from there.
It's right on the shores of Albert Park Lake. Lots of swans around Albert Park Lake. You know when you see a swan and it's got the little collar around its neck, the plastic collar with the tag? Now that is being studied. That swan is being watched for research. I reckon there'd be some teams that would have watched Fremantle last week, what they did to that Sydney midfield, really trying to bone up on how to tackle the Swans. Has Ross Lyon and St Kilda, what have they taken out of last week that they can apply to today? Because they've got a lot of ground to make up against this all-conquering Sydney team, but how much have they studied, how much have they gone to work on that performance from the Swans last week?
I love the way you framed it up. We'll ask our record breakers in a moment. One of my favourite stories too is why they came to be known as the Sydney Swans. I'll ask perhaps the coaching games record holder Mick Malthouse if he knows why. Hello, Mick.
Look, hello, Benny, Joel and Boomer. One of my favourite players, Boomer, always. And to all our listeners, no, I got no idea. So all I know is I played against South Melbourne at South Melbourne Footy Ground, and if the lake was full of water, that means we had a wet day because the ground level was always determined by, or the water level was determined by the lakes. Yeah. So if we had a bit of a drought, you had a dry ground. South Melbourne, very good ground, small ground. And then when they went to Sydney, it was one of those surprises that we thought, and we've seen the evolution of the game. So that's all I could remember about. But as far as the shin bonus goes, that would go back. Not shin bonus, the bloods would go back. Would it be coloured or what?
So, no, part of it is to do with all of the swans that Joel has mentioned around Albert Park Lake. Yeah. But part of it is to do with they had so many sandgropers in their team, the Swans, WA.
So
that
right?
was a part.
How long ago was that then?
That played a role. I'll have to check up the details on it, but it is.
Because South Melbourne were one of the original clubs.
Yeah.
So we're looking at 1890s.
Yeah.
And they had Western Australians playing for them.
No, I'm talking. The Swans moniker came later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was
I
adopted later.
I wonder what they were then. Or did they have Westcotts in those days when they first started?
A lot of the clubs didn't and have changed their monikers along the journey. I mean, the D's only became the Devils after Frank Checker Hughes' famous speech.
Right?
Yeah. He said you're playing like a bunch of Maybloons, didn't he?
Is that that book in front of you? You're going all through that book in front of you, getting all this information.
Oh, yeah, I've read about the history of the game, Mick.
Where are the Magpies? When are the Magpies? When did they get there? Did they start Magpies or not?
I'm not sure. We've been derailed early here on Sunday Footy on ABC Sport, but Brent Harvey, you played yesterday. Just can't give it up, can you?
Oh, I don't know, Benny. I'm a bit sore, so maybe it was just a one-off game. I'm not too sure. But I've woken up this morning from my tailbone to my neck, very, very sore. But I must admit, I was wondering where you were going with that, Joel.
Most people do.
Collars around the neck of the Swans, and I absolutely loved where you were going because I'm the same as you. I'm coming here today, and I'm excited to see the Sydney Swans for the first time for me and see their midfield because there's a guy in there that watching from afar, I just love the way he plays, the way he takes the game on, and that's Warner. But last week, they were able to negate not only him but his two mates as well in Gordon and Heaney. So Hager will probably go to one of them, you'd think, and it's a bit of a lottery though.
Jack Steele could work on one of them.
Yeah, well, I think he might have to. I think you're going to have to put some time. It can't be what we've been seeing, Mick. And again, just off where we spoke Friday night about you've got to knock over the better players.
Absolutely.
Bulldogs decided not to do that yesterday, and Port Adelaide run rampant through the midfield.
And we saw GWS do it.
That's
it. What can be done. So
the taggers are back, and they should be back. And I don't understand why teams don't put time into the best players. But he won't go to Gordon out on the wing. He's going to go into one of the
You sound like someone who's bitter that they got tagged for the entirety of their career, and the other players today aren't putting up with it.
100%. They need to be tagged.
Just the obvious question following on from Joel's beautiful anecdote and storytelling off the top is...
Beautiful's a stretch, man.
What did, or what can the comp learn from what Fremantle did to Sydney last week, Nick?
I think we've got to be very careful about this because it is so hard to go through a season, and they've only lost to the bottom now the bottom side, Richmond. So you've got to say at some stage you're going to have a bit of a downer. I'm not saying it was against Fremantle for that reason. Fremantle had to take a good game there, but is that the best Sydney could play all year? Probably not. They had a few players that were down. It's inevitable that a side in this competition for such a long season is going to be knocked over. In fact, it's been since 2000. Essendon went through and only lost to one game. And I know in 2011 we lost 1 or 2 games through the season, and that's been Collingwood. So it's so hard to be able to get through a whole season. So what do you learn? But it's what Sydney learn as well. It's okay to say you knock over Warner or knock over Heaney. The second thing is doing it, and the other thing is what Boomer alluded to. Are you prepared to do it? Because there's some sides that just point blank refuse to man up a player who's going to get the ball 35, 40 times, and you ask the question, why wouldn't you do that? Because if he's their best player, put someone on him who is not your best player. Don't go head to head with those players, and keep your powder dry as far as that goes. But see if you can knock someone over him. And I've been going back a night ago when you said, or 2 nights ago when you said, it's not a matter of keeping them totally free of possessions. It's what they do with those possessions and how many metres they carry that ball. So I just think that it's a no-brainer. You've got to take the best players out of any side and give yourself a realistic chance. And quite frankly, when I was coaching West Coast, and we had a pretty damn good side at times, I always had a tagger in there. Early days at Collingwood, I had a tagger in there. And believe it or not, at Collingwood, when we won our premiership, everyone goes, we didn't have a tag. Yes, we did. Sharon Wellingham used to go to their best player. So he wasn't as tight as, say, Lucuria or maybe Ling or Banfield and these sort of players, but he still was highly accountable for that one player, even though we were Belton size at that stage.
Yep. I think my other concern for St Kilda without Max King is with Max King they only kick 10, 11, 12 goals to win games. Without Max King, can they kick 10, 11, 12 to win a game? I can't see it happening. And against probably the best team in the competition at the minute, it's going to be tough.
It's going to be really tough. I remember back in the day, Corbin Middlemass in Perth used to have a stat about Ross Lyon coach teams when they kick 12 goals, they generally win, and when they kick less than that, they would lose. And it's held true second time around at St Kilda. Sorry, Joel.
Swans' lowest score of the season, 11 goals, 11.
Yeah.
So St Kilda struggled to get to that level, and Sydney haven't dipped below it. Ross Lyon said during the week that their midfield was systematically pulled apart by Port Adelaide last week, St Kilda. So not only do they have to stop the Swans, there's a challenge for the Mick to get themselves going as well, the Saints, in that area of the ground.
Games are won and lost in the middle, there's no doubt about that, but you've also got to have run off the back line. And your wings then have got to become very, very, like I say, wing back. So that's one that will hook in behind and give your back line some support. And a forward winger that will go forward and put pressure on where your midfielder may be getting lagged behind because he's tagging someone and has to go with him. And if you're going to tag, I believe you tag everywhere. You don't let them off the hook by going, I'll let them go in the back line and they can, because they pick up cheap kicks in the back line, bring their confidence up. So if you're going to work with him, then your forward, your offensive winger must become a weapon. Now, it's whether Ross Lyon coaches like that. I'm not 100% sure he coaches in that vein where the wingers are used like that. But and that's not saying he doesn't. He's a good coach, so I don't know what he does. So we'll be watching today. But 11 goals, 11. If that's their worst score, I'm with Boomer. It's hard to see St Kilda kicking 13 goals.
I get a little bit confused around St Kilda's ball movement because it's. I don't know. I don't think it's quick. I don't think it's quick.
No, they have been somewhat efficient of chaining the ball off from defence, from their defensive half this year.
And that's what I was getting at, because you look at some of the players they've brought into the football club, right? Henry.
Yep.
Speed.
Quick.
Hill.
Yep.
Speed. Bonnet kicks the ball and penetrates the game through
Darcy Wilson.
Yep. That's Darcy Wilson.
At this stage of his career, that's all
Wanganeen Malera, and then Jack Sinclair off half back or in the middle where he's playing. So they've got these assets they can use, but I don't see him breaking lines. Brad Hill gets the ball in not amazing spots and watches it every now and then because he's under so much pressure.
But he's not quick, though.
Well, he
everyone reckons
he wants to.
He gets caught too often. In a foot.
I think it's because the way he gets the ball, Mick. He runs onto his left side and wants a handball receive, and someone just presses at him. Then he's got to get around them. Then he's got pressure on him.
Exactly.
So if he gets the ball in the right spots, he actually is quick. But I'm just a little bit confused, and it would be really interesting today to see in the first half, in particular, and probably the first quarter, what style of play they're going to play. Are they going to utilise those quicks and make it a quick game, or are they going to stifle the game up and be a defensive mechanism game the way they played pretty much under Ross Lyon? So I'm interested in that part as well.
So the team news from here at Docklands as well, no late changes for either of the two sides. Ben Patton is the sub for St Kilda. Interestingly for Sydney, Taylor Adams.
Yeah.
What do you make of that decision, Mick and Boomer?
Well, I just showed Boomer and I said, have a look at this, and your eyes lit up and thought, well, we both looked at it and thought, is he carrying an injury or is his form dropped off? And maybe they want to now load up in the midfield and say, well, okay, halfway through the third quarter, they bring him on and just keep the pressure through that midfield. I don't know the answer to that. I know he has had injuries through his career. Perhaps he's a bit sore from... When did they play last week? Well, it doesn't matter. This is a Sunday game.
They played Saturday, Arvo.
So, in other words, it's an 8-day turnaround. It's a travelling day. No, I don't see... Outside, then, if you've got an injured player, you don't play him.
Yeah, it's just a hard midfield to get into, and still has Callum Mills to come back into it.
That was going to be my point.
Captain.
Yeah.
Is it purely on personnel? None of the other mids can go out of the team right now.
No. But he's been part of it for a while, though, Boomer.
Yeah.
He plays half forward on the ball, and he seems to be doing a job. Look, again, he's not quick. Is he a big goal kicker? No. Is he a hard tackler? Yes. Is he hard at the ball? Yes. Does he add value to the midfield as a secondary? Absolutely. So where do you play him when he's not playing in the midfield?
And that's exactly what I was getting at, Mick. Not one of them midfielders now. I'm just watching the warm-up. Not one of them midfielders. McInerney's playing an unbelievable role, and he runs with the ball and he breaks lines. There's not one of them midfielders. James Jordan has come in and probably taken a spot. So it's probably him or James Jordan who's playing, but he's doing a fantastic job.
And then your Luke Parker, who's a week away from returning from suspension, looking at Taylor Adams starting as the sub today, going, geez, he's going to be hard to get.
Now, whose spot does he take? And that's probably why he's the sub.
And then it's almost like they've got the younger model in James Rowbottom, who's second in the competition for tackling and does a lot of the dirty work for that midfield to help out Heaney, Goulden and Warner and whoever else is rolling through there.
And Campbell seems to be the fringe player, but could not be more of a contrasting player to Taylor Adams in terms of Campbell's in there for his speed and his ball use, not necessarily what Taylor Adams would be bringing.
So and Mick, this is probably a question for you, could Taylor Adams... he doesn't kick enough goals, does he? He's not a half forward.
His half forward work is to get his hands dirty,
get up the ground a little bit more.
Yeah, get up, be another midfielder, or take the most obvious running back.
Yep.
So just go to him and just make it very difficult for him to run the football. Just looking at some of these stats here too, Boomer. Clearances: Heaney, Grundy, Rowbottom, Warner, Goulden. So he doesn't feature there at all, Adam. So and as we've got Mills to come back in the side. I don't know whether Parker will get back in the side. I honestly believe that they're probably going, you know what, he's not part of the team anymore. That he might well.
Yeah.
He might, I just can't see where he's going to play because again he's a midfield half forward, and their half forward line is kicking big scores. Tackles, Rowbottom 127. You said, well, that's 46 more than the next, which is Grundy. Now there's a ruckman that got the bullet from two clubs. Heaney's next. Inside 50s: Goulden, Warner, Heaney, Papley, Rowbottom. Again, doesn't feature. And the thing about that one, there's only one forward, genuine forward, really, that comes up the ground in Papley that gets the ball in there. So their midfield is not only tackling heavy, getting the ball inside 50s, all the clearances, all the indicators are that their midfield is really set.
And Benny, you make a really good point around Rowbottom being that dirty player, so the other guys can just do what they do and do very well.
Yeah.
And that's win the football, go inside 50, use the ball well, and kick goals.
Yeah.
They would have to be the midfield that kicks the most goals.
Yeah, well,
I haven't looked at the stat, but I think it would have to be the highest.
Well, just looking at it without comparing it across the clubs, Chad Warner has 24 from his 15 games. Isaac Heaney has 21. And then Errol Goulden getting involved as well. He has 10 from his 15 games, so not quite as many as the others. I'll be interested throughout the afternoon maybe to look at how you seed that triumvirate as well in the Sydney midfield, because, gee, it's a good one. And we're fast running out of time, but there was a comparison, which I know you spoke about yesterday on AFL Saturday, which is just flying at the moment with Luke Ball and Corbin Middlemass from midday every Saturday. But the comparison that Tom Morris made between this St Kilda group and your Blues back in 2014, Mick. So we can speak about where the Saints are at and how they're tracking second time around under Ross Lyon. The toss of the coin is taking place at the moment. And between the benches with us today is Lauren Borden. Lauren.
Thanks, Ben. It's lovely to be down here. It's Dane Rampier that just won the toss, and the Swans will be kicking towards the Coventry end to the right-hand side of your radio dial. It's where there's a packed Sydney Swans cheer squad, really. You look at them now, and they're probably 3 or 4 times the amount of who's sitting in that St Kilda cheer squad down the other end of the ground. So maybe that's a little bit of the history you were talking about when it comes to South Melbourne, or maybe it's just really ladder positions and the way they're playing at the moment. As you mentioned, Ben Patton and Taylor Adams are both the subs for today. So Taylor Adams is sitting in his he's in his full tracksuit actually as he was warming up, so he'll stay in that when he comes to the bench, and he'll park himself next to Leon Cameron there. So we'll just wait and see if Sydney can get off to maybe a quicker start than they have been the last few weeks.
That's certainly something we'll be watching. Great point, Loz.
Benny, if I can just say, I'm just looking at some stats which I find staggering. Just Boomer had a look at them as well. Clearances, Rowan Marshall leads the clearances and leads the inside 50s. That duel today between him and Grundy, you'd pay money to come and see those two against each other, because they're both totally in form, and both sides need them desperately. But I'm amazed at how reliant St Kilda have to be when you've got a ruckman that leads your clearances and inside 50s. That just shows you the capabilities of Marshall.
Which way are you tipping?
It's hard to go past Sydney.
Everyone tipping Sydney?
Yes.
I think we are. We're all in agreement. Can the Saints spring an upset? Sunday afternoon football beneath the roof at Docklands. You're underway with Joel Peterson.
Both teams in the rainbow socks for the 8th annual Pride game between these two teams. The Swans colour, the Swans jumper has the Pride Progress colours around the collar and the yoke, as well as the Opera House pattern in the middle of the jumper in the red shorts this afternoon. Bubbles around in the middle. McInerney will handball back to Grundy in the centre circles for the Swans. Now back to McInerney, feigns the handball straight away to Warner. The fend off, gets on his left peg, pops it inside 50. Goulden got rid of. Patton with a big old shove. In fact, it was Burns who he tried to muscle out of the way. And so Ryan Burns, one of 5 inclusions for St Kilda into their side for today's game, can start a chain out of the defensive half for the Saints.
I can just say something about that centre square. When that ball bounced and the players come into it, there was an unbelievable setup by Sydney, inner and outer, and that's why McInerney was able to get that ball clear.
Lakey shanks his kick, picked up quickly there by Fox. He shanks his. Steele wins it back for the Saints on the wing. Byrne kicks around it for the Saints, forward of the logo, unable to mark Wood, comes down at ground level, getting involved Sydney, it spills back to Wood. Saints back in possession. Jordan tackles him, dispossessed, and caught holding the ball. So a free kick going the way of the Swans on the City side of the ground. Early text on 0437 774 774. Might Taylor Adams have been dropped to the sub for disciplinary reasons. Gave away 2 50-metre penalties last week that led to goals. That's from Bruce. You want to do that, Mick?
No, they certainly would interfere. I wouldn't worry about it in selection.
Would you discipline them during the week?
Well, what do you do? Just sit in the corner with a dunce's hat on? No.
That's what it feels like you make me do sometimes, Mick.
No, I do not, Benny. No, I think it's enough to say to the player what it's cost the team, and that's self-evident then.
Swans have changed it to the wing. Here's Goulden stepping through a couple of tackles. Kicks inside the 50. Howard juggles the mark for St Kilda. Dougal Howard back into the team. 8th game of the season from the Wagga Tigers. Hill from the last line just got the kick away. Finds Marshall coming off a career best 3 goals 2 last week, Rowan Marshall. So doing it all in the middle and up front for the Saints. Sinclair and Hill combine. Hill drives a long kick down the line. Owens a hand to it. It was the tall target for the Saints. Brought it down to the front of the pack. Membry created some space. So too Windhagen. Now Clark kicks it straight into Tom McCartan, who hardly had time to accept it to his chest. His kick infield, got a hand on it on the way through. Now Clark's back in possession for the Saints. Enters the 50 towards Higgins. Gordon was closing late, but Higgins pulls in the mark right at the top of the arc.
Yeah, and by himself too, Joel, which is interesting. The passage of play then, a lot of Sydney players had already taken off in anticipation of that kick that was half smothered. Higgins waited back correctly. It's not that he bludged, he waited back correctly and waited for the turnover. He's their leading goal kicker, by the way, which is interesting, a small player like that.
24 on the season, 1-2 last week, only goalless 2 times so far this season. Gives it everything, but hooked it on the way through. Minor score, first score of the game. 3 minutes gone opening turn, the Saints with an early lead.
And that's the ball movement that we we're talking about off half-back. Are they going to continue to play that way, given the ball to Bradley Hill running through?
Shocking kick in from Florent, turns it over, and the mark taken by Burns. 40 metres out in a 45-degree angle, right forward pocket for the Saints.
Just keeping an eye on the matchups. Windhager seems to be going to Heaney, but there's a lot of handover. Heaney's pushing up and other players are taking him. I'm not sure if he's actually going a real hard tag at the minute.
Looks like Sydney's slow starts are continuing. A little sluggish out of the gates here. Burns on the approach, breaks the 50, boot the ball from 45 out. The drop punt is across the face, right to the line, and Tom McCartan in the end slots it through. 2 minor scores to start for the Saints. Sydney yet to score through the opening 4 minutes. Interesting story about Tom McCartan's brother Charlie too, playing down your neck of the woods, Mick.
Yeah,
Lawn.
Yeah, he sort of gave the game away for there a while, and then just found a bit of a love for it.
Florent with the second kick in, can spray that one graffiti artist style. Gordon tumbles one down the line. Howard kicks in field. Saints back in possession. Here's the captain's steal. Flares it out wide. Burns is there, provides some dash and some precision ball use for this St Kilda team. Cal Wilkie marks on the AFL logo out of sight of the ground. Driving kick inside the forward 50. Big pack of Swans around the footy. Wood had a fresh airy. Picked up by Florent. Up and down the mine shaft into the centre square. Marshall.
He's in great form. I know you can only have one ruckman in the All-Australian, or maybe only one ruckman, but Gawn and these sort of players, he's been outstanding.
It was an imposing mark, Mick. Chips it short to Clark.
He's kicked it where he marked it, so I'm not 100% sure it's a smart kick.
And this is beyond the distance of Hunter Clark, who would have had to have the set shot from inside the centre square. Lay up to the pocket, Sharman the target. 2 Swans fly against him. They bring it down. Fox is wrapped up by a pair of Saints and a ball up. 35 out from the Saints goal. Done all the scoring so far. Their 2 behinds lead the game. 5.5 gone first turn.
Grundy and Marshall, new hostilities. Grundy wins it down. Goulden a quick kick up towards the wing. Amati goes up, hands to it, can't mark. Warner leaves it behind. Steele picks it up. Centre half forward here for the Saints. Handball errant. Florence there for the Swans. Running off halfback. Takes a bounce. Feeds a handball forward. Hayward loops it over the top to Wicks. Moves it on to Warner. Webster's got him. Good tackle. Just stops the Swans in their tracks. They were chaining handballs through the middle. And a ball up to come. St Kilda 2 behinds, lead Sydney, no score.
Mick, I've just seen a lot, just on that passage of play, I've seen a lot of Collingwood last year. So they win the ball from turnover, and gee, they just go hard.
Yeah, they do. But St Kilda kept one player back. That's why they couldn't kick it, though. It's good play by the Saints.
Heaney trying to take the ruck contest after the ball had bounced. Hill scrambles a kick forward. Sharman attacks it. And then it's hacked off the ground by Wood inside forward 50. Oh, the Swans defence lets it bounce. Wood follows up, tries to get boot to ball. Rampy's there, but it's all St Kilda inside forward 50. Higgins leaves it for Sharman. Picks it up, handball away. Rowbottom's dragged down. Stands up in the tackle, clearing kick. Makes it really awkward out at half-back for Wicks. But some sharp hands for the Swans, able to work it out. Fox to Goulden, hemmed in along the boundary line. Neat fit left foot kick around the body, and Marty can't take it cleanly. Back to Goulden, it ricochets off his chest. Now he finds the target. Heaney's got it, wing out of sight.
Wants to play on quickly. Driving ball inside 50, but back there battle. Marks for the Saints defensively inside 50. Kicks laterally to Hill. He'll poke it beyond the defensive arc. A searching lead from Mason Wood. Drops the mark. Has to go and pick it up. Half-back flank for the Saints. Kicks up to the wing. Grundy's there. Puts his fist through it. It stays in play. Lots of the players stopped in the end. McCartan will carry it out. And a throw-in alongside the interchange gates. Neutral territory. Dockside of the ground. 2 behinds to no score through the opening 7 minutes.
I'm just looking at who's going to be the change ruckman for both sides. I'm always intrigued. It's only a 15% of the game time, but it's an important stage of it.
Hayden McLean has been doing some good stuff in there for the Swans. in recent weeks. Drew some praise from John Longmire during the week. Brad Hills had 5 touches early. This is a wobbly kick up towards centre-half forward. Goulden takes it off the pack, handballed it to himself in the end, retreats inside the defensive 50. Swans defence scrambling. McInerney with a play at it. Memory got in the way, picked up around the body. The snap from Wilson. Oh, it's bounced at right angles.
Wow.
Darcy Wilson with a leg break the best spinner would be proud of. He hooked it around the body into the goal square on his left boot. It bounced 3 metres out, hard back toward goal and goes through for the first of the game. 8 minutes gone, opening term, and that is the first for the Saints.
Well, the leg spinner you speak of is a big Saints fan, so he might have been looking down from up there.
Well, I reckon Mike Gadding would have just looked at it and gone, I've seen that ball.
I was just about the call as that ball left his boot and it clearly wasn't going to go through for a goal. Was St Kilda need to score out all these inside 50s because they've had all the play and they haven't kicked the goal, and then that one just does a big leg break, as the Shane Warne would be very proud of. So yes, much needed goal and well rewarded goal, but they needed it on the board as well.
Yeah, you were spot on. It's much rewarded. This is not a fluke. They've been controlling the ball.
Marshall wins the tap from the restart. Steele bundled over there by Rowbottom. Ball spits out to Grundy. Gets a handball away. McInerney. Swans with it. Florent. Low ball towards the attacking 50 for Sydney. Punched away. Comes down to Rowbottom again. Attacks the footy. Handball inside 50 for the Swans. Fox out after it. Spills to Hayward. Shovels a handball to Papley. He'll snap quickly on goal. It'll go to the goal square. Wrestle on. Free kick paid. It's going the way of the Saints. And Dougal Howard to get it. At fullback here for St Kilda. They lead it 1-8 to no score, 9.5 played opening term.
Just that last month of football, Benny, you talk about Sydney's low scoring and slow starts. 6 goals to Sydney, 18 to the opposition in the last 4 weeks prior to today.
6-18.
Yes.
Given up some really big starts there. Biggest of the season last week. 7 goals, 2 to the Dockers. Rampy intercepts here for the Swans. In between the wing and right half forward. He'll send it back inside the arc. Low kick off his left boot. Comes off a pair of hands. Quick handball from Hayward looking for McDonald. Pinched by Howard. Saints inside the defensive 50. Sinclair to Webster. Hemmed in along the boundary line. Booming left foot kick outside the defensive arc. Wood floating in from the side. Takes the mark. Handballs off to Hill. Hill now over the top to Filippo. Left foot kick. Neat back inboard. Finds Sharman.
Sharman has men breaking inside 50. They're telling him to go long. He'll kick wide out. Membry comes up and marks. 2 kicks from home. Still has men on inside 50. He'll go really long towards full forward. Marshall drifting forward. He marks.
Yeah, great play. Great play by the Saints. Realised that there was a mismatch down there. There's a bit of shepherding, which happens all over the ground. I'm just finding where Grundy. I think Grundy arrived very late. He's probably 3 metres.
He's on a ski rope, wasn't he?
He was dragged down there, but Marshall just... We've seen last week he kicked 3 goals, Nick Marshall, before the Saints.
Yes.
Yeah, so great play by the Saints. Really great play.
Boot to ball from 20 out, directly in front. In he comes. Puts his laces through it. And the Saints have started hot. 2-2-14. Sydney yet to score. 11 minutes and change into this opening term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. The record breakers, Mick Malthouse and Brent Harvey.
It was a great build-up by the Saints then, and that started from a great mark in the defensive part of the ground by Mason Wood, who has become a very, very important player because he works, he's got elite endurance, he gets forward and has shots on goal, but he also gets down back and helps. When he's playing wing, he was at North Melbourne as a genuine forward.
Yeah.
So he's got really good forward craft and marking ability. The play that you were talking about, the little shepherd, Dan Butler, and it was an exceptional one. But he realised at the start he was in the marking contest. He wanted to go for it. Then he seen Marshall coming down, and he just held his ground.
Yeah.
That was a perfect play by Dan Butler.
Small forward doing that, Boomer.
Yeah, it's been unusual, Mick.
A slow Sydney start. Can they start getting revved up here? McInerney out of the middle with the quick entry from the restart. Webster comes across, keeps it in front of himself, paddles it to his own advantage. Handball back to Howard inside the defensive 50 for the Saints. Wangadine Miller back-pedalling. Awkward kick, lands in the lap of Goulden. It was an absolute joy to watch him go about his business. He rolls onto that silky left boot, sends it to the pocket, floating in from the side. Dougal Howard, he's come back with a vengeance, Dougal. And he takes the mark in the left back pocket for the Saints, who are up by 14 through 12 and a half minutes.
Well, he's getting in the right position, Howard. So he's reading the play. Sometimes that's dangerous, but well, it is because you just don't know what the Sydney's always going to do with the ball.
Kicks up towards Wood, can't take the mark. McInerney there for the Swans, roves the pack off to Rowbottom to Jordan. Forward handball to Goulden. Wide out, right half forward, gets onto that left again. Kicks towards Wilkie, can't take the mark. Spills to McDonald, swivel, snaps, goals. Sydney's first. And it comes through the newly recontracted Logan McDonald. The forward line's his farm now. 2-2-14, plays one straight 6. 10 minutes gone. Opening term, Mick Malthouse and Brent Harvey on ABC Sport.
They just had some repeat inside 50s at Sydney. I think they went in 3 times in a row. Nothing come from it. Marshall took a good mark, kicked back out, set up well. Ball goes back in, and that's when you're under the pumpers as defenders.
The other thing is too, Bruno, I'd like to see that again. Was it Howe that almost had the mark and it just didn't stick? But just prior to that,
It was rookie.
young Wilson, who's kicked the goal, let a Sydney player look. It was just trying to tackle him with his fingertips. If you're going to tackle, you tackle with grunt, and he missed that opportunity. That's why that ball went into that forward line.
Yeah, big week for Logan McDonald, of course. Had the opportunity after siren to win or tie the game last week, and the new contract has Benny alluded to, and he starts well here. Nick Blakey takes the mark after a St Kilda clearance out of the stoppage. Best on ground last week, despite the loss. Pumps it back the other way, puts it straight down the throat of Battle. There was a man in demand out of contract at the end of the season. Hawthorn signalled their interest.
Sam Mitchell called him. Might have to ask Mick whether he called many players at rival clubs.
Saints will have a battle on their hands to keep him, perhaps. Now back in board, here's Sean Makers. The Tasmanians made a promising start to his career at the top level. Tries to kick to his fellow Apple Islander in Webster. Eventually finds him. Webster's forward handball to Henry, and they move it with pace again. Hill off the ground as he strides inside the forward 50 to the pocket. McCartan and Sharman battle. McCartan takes possession. Owens grabs him, drags him across the line. Caught holding the ball. Tackle is rewarded.
Yeah, he didn't quite make the line. The boundary umpire was right there, and he didn't call out of bounds, so there was no option for the umpire. He had to call dropping the ball.
Yeah, it's interesting. If you cross the line,
you're
safe, which I still find staggering, but it is the rule. Well, apparently it's the rule.
Like he didn't ground the try going over the line. So Owens with the centering kick to the goal square, and the mark is taken powerfully in the end by McLean, who took 6 contested marks last week. No one else had more than 2. He's dominating the air early.
That should never happen. I don't care what you are, who you are. That ball, as a forward, even has to be brought to the ground.
Oh, Sydney have worked themselves into trouble. Blakey slithers free. He'll kick up towards the wing, looking for a Marty. Right there with him, Wilkie. Out the back it goes. Webster gathers it, goes to ground. Now he's in trouble, just gets a kick away. Picking it up quickly. Fox there for the Swans. Back away to Campbell. He'll kick up to the wing. Heaney can't mark, and he'll get a free kick. Wanganeen Malera just impeding.
So this is his advantage. He gets to go forward now. Has a little bit of a spell, but goes forward and gets a match-up in the air that he's just going to dominate most halfbacks in the competition.
St Kilda by 8 points, 16 minutes into the first.
First 2 for the Saints, the last for the Swans in the ball game. One kick inside forward 50. Jordan's there, bounces off the Burns tackle, straightens up, lowers the eyes. Beautiful delivery. Absolutely outstanding from James Jordan. It might have sliced off the outside of the boot somewhat, but it was exactly what Logan McDonald needed. And the big fella will go back for his second from 45 out.
I've got a feeling that might have been Wilson again that missed that tackle. I'd stand corrected on that, but you can't miss tackles at this level, because this is what happens. They kick the ball and someone marks it. That's if it is him, that's 2 kicks that Sydney will have for goal because of a missed tackle.
Said about re-signing during the week, there's no substitute for happiness. You can't quite bring a smile to the Swans fans' faces as he strikes the inside of the right-hand goalpost. 7-point margin, Swans 1-1, Saints 2-2, 17 gone first term. Let's check in with Lauren Borden downstairs.
There's a bit of extra space on the back of the Swans bench. I'm used to seeing John Longmire down here in the back of his head, but he's coaching from the box today. A few frustrated Swans have been coming to the bench. Unsurprisingly, one's been Tom Papley, but he was pretty happy with at least the movement of the ball to get it down to Logan McDonald just then.
Thanks, Loz. Elsewhere at the MCG, Melbourne leading by 54 points over the West Coast Eagles, which, I mean, bad news for Adam Simpson. Certainly under the pump.
Let's hope those
Out west.
phones are on flight mode, Benny.
Wilkie, inside defensive 50 to Schoenmaker, making a sprawling mark. Just in the field of play. No, he didn't. Juggled it out, and we'll get a boundary thrown. Umpire Matthew Nichols comes charging over and says, no, we'll throw it in. Not before a conference, and he's backing in his boundary umpire.
That's a mark.
Well, the boundary umpire cannot call that wasn't a
Not a
mark.
mark. No.
He's just got to say it was out of bounds, and if he paid a mark, it's a mark.
Yep, exactly. You can't now change it's not a mark because it hit the ground.
St Kilda by 7 points from the throw-in. Marshall laying it down in front, coming through Henry in the long sleeves. Gets a handball away to Wanganeen Malira. Spills back to Henry. Saints emerge with the football. Short kick for Wilson. He has it knocked away from him, and Sydney back in there. McLean, his handball knocked away, and St Kilda with it through Battle.
Battle, low hand pass. Burns does well. Fleet of foot. Finds some space. Shares it out wide. Looping kick finds Filippo, who immediately rolls onto his left boot, jabs it inside the 50, upstairs was Sharman. Did he have the arms chopped? No. Wilson grabbed it. He got caught. Ball up.
No, he did have the arms chopped, Joel.
He
Just didn't get paid.
That's horrible.
Bit tetchy about the umpiring early.
Oh, we'll get Laura here.
45 metres out. Better than it's ever been, isn't it? Goulden
Best ever.
through the contest. Wilson comes back the other way for the Saints. 40 metres out from the St Kilda goal. Florent and Ramby work it out nicely to the running man, Matt Roberts, who kicks to left half back and finds Robbie Fox.
So Fox, he'll come back infield and spot up Rampy. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. We'll go all the way back towards fullback and McCartan. Out wide to Melican, low down. Took it on the half volley. Poke it short for Jordan. And Marks, right half back. Wide out. Little unsure, the former D. Won the premiership as the unused sub on grand final day. Kicks up to the wing and Marty goes up. Past him out the back and Burns is there for the Saints. Handball for Filippo, misses him. Allows Amati in. It ricochets towards McLean for the Swans. Turns it over.
Straight to Battle. Defensive side of the wing. Whips his kick infield. Lovely delivery. Howard's been busy early. Sharman. Schoenmakers it is, who whacks it inside forward 50. Long left boot.
Oh,
Be a mark paid to McCartan. Not a fan, Boomer?
Well, that was Mick that with those little groans there. But, yeah, play on.
Rampy takes it. He chips it short and wide. Roberts has got it again for the Swans. A couple of bounces. He comes off half back. Just cruises out toward the boundary line. Tries to deliver up toward McDonald. Battle reaches over the top. Tries to find the safety of the boundary line and does so. And we'll have a ball in. Outer side of the ground. Saints by 7. 20 minutes gone in the opening term.
Joel, can we just get an inside 50 count, please?
Inside 50s, 11-9 the way of the Saints in the early
It
stages.
feels a little bit more than that, Mick.
Yeah,
I feel like they've had more of the play and that fast ball movement that we've been talking about, they're trying to break the lines.
Even though they're only down by 7 points, the Swans, it still feels like another slow start, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
Wanganeen Malira chips it short to Sharman on the lead city side of the ground.
What a player. He's going to be an absolute beauty.
A little unsure of where to go initially. So Sharman drives it long towards half forward for the Saints, looking for a marker down there in Owens and punched away out of play. We'll get a throw in. Saints by 7 points, 2-2 plays 1-1. 21.5 minutes into the opening stanza on Sunday footy right here on ABC Sport.
Getting some distance, Boomer, in their kicking, aren't they? Both sides.
Yeah, roof's closed. I reckon the ball travels further.
Well, it looks like it from here.
Brad Hills had 11. Harold Goulden 10 in the early stages for their respective teams. Burns from the stoppage for the Saints. Deep entry. Higgins across the front of the pack. Not paid the mark or the free kick. Campbell mops it up, and that's in the Sydney defence. Now Jordan. 30 out from his defensive goal. Next to the pocket for Lloyd. Averages 28 disposals against the Saints, most against any opponent. The man from Horsham, one of 7 rookies out there. Plays taking the rookie draft for the Swans. Terrific work from Henry, who batted down the kick that was intended for McInerney, but the Swans have got representation. Warner out wide, handball to Roberts, over the top, nice delivery, finds McInerney.
McInerney takes a step, has to come infield with his kick, spots up Goulden. Good mark overhead. And this guy rarely wastes a kick. He's 2 from home here for Sydney at the Coventry end of the ground. He'll look into the pocket, going very wide out, and that was always going to happen.
You are spot on, Ben. No,
He's kicked it out on the full.
No, you can call it better than most.
I can stop anyone, Mick. And the Saints back with it in their right back pocket. They lead by 7 points. Can he back me up? He's usually a great kick, isn't he?
He's a very nice
No, well,
kick.
that was
on cue.
it spun beautifully. No, it really.
It's a commentary version of a tagger, Benny.
Correct.
Just go in and bring anyone down.
Hammer in the cooler.
Here's Roberts for the Swans. He's had it a couple of times in the last few moments. Malikan rides a couple of bumps. Florent to McCartan to Goulden to Wicks. Thought about going on with it. Marks 48 metres out for Sydney. Options everywhere. Can offload to McDonald and finds it. And Logan's got it 40 from home. The angle is negligible.
Now, Joel, tell me what position he's playing.
Who's that, McDonald?
Yeah.
He was pretty high up the ground then.
Yeah, but he's key forward. When that ball's going forward like that, and his man is in the goal square, 40 metres away, I'd suspect that he's taken the easy advantage. Why not play on your player on the turnover? Sydney turned that ball over in the half back line. That's when all your backline players should be shoulder to shoulder, not 40 metres away.
He's got their entire score so far, Logan McDonald, and he pulls the Swans within a point. That right fist was clenched as soon as he struck it in celebration. 2-1-13 Sydney and Logan McDonald. The Saints still in front, 2-2-14. They've led for the entirety of the contest. 24 minutes gone, opening term on ABC Sport. Your experts are Boomer Harvey and Mick Malthouse.
So just on that point, Mick, I think St Kilda and potentially Wilkie, I think it might be his direct opponent. Here's the visual. You actually called it before. Sydney couldn't go forward because they had a visual one player down there on his own. I feel like Wilkie's been that, let's call it the backstop, let's call it the goalkeeper, whatever you want to call it, the last person on the line. But you're spot on. When the ball's in movement,
in the motion,
you've got to come up.
Absolutely.
You've got to take your direct opponent out of the game. He elected to stay back there and be safe. So when they looked up, the problem was they were too close to goal.
No one played on his man.
Back in the middle, neither ruck decisive. Papley picks it up, somehow gets a kick away. It spills out towards Heaney. Handball forward for the Swans. Coming in though, Burns. Picks it up for the Saints. Forward handball to Sinclair. Handball away to Marshall. Brings it out towards the logo. Phillippo chips it short, and Owens not paid the mark. He'll get a free kick. He's taken a little high, so Rich Owens between wing and half forward chisels a ball towards the target there in Steele. He can't take it. Spills down, and then Rampy can clear for the Swans.
He just whacks it as far as he can. A bouncing ball. Amati's there. Wilkie's there as well. Amati drags Wilkie down. Good tough stuff from both of them. Ball up inside forward 50 for the Swans. They surge it back the other way immediately.
That kick going inside 50 from Mitch Owens just wasn't good enough. It went to St Kilda play, but he wasn't aiming for him.
Jordan spins out of the traffic to Papley. Papley goes deep forward. How will this bounce? McLean taps it into the post. We are tied away at 14 apiece. 26 minutes gone opening term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
I want to ask you both at quarter time about slow starts for Sydney, because reportedly internally they were questioning, players very... that's good timing. I might get the chance to in just a moment. But 2-2-14 apiece is the score. So the goal kickers, Wilson and Marshall, as St Kilda kicked the first two.
Shortest quarter of the year?
Yeah.
26 minutes.
26 minutes, very quick.
That's 1990s type stuff.
Logan McDonald with 2 goals of his own for the Sydney Swans. Scores level. Just quickly, there was a suggestion internally, I think reported by Tom Morris, that the Swans thought that the players like to warm up in a very relaxed manner now. And that might be behind their slow starts. They're not quite up for the game when the heated battle begins. Mick, you've been a coach. I'll get to you, Boomer, as how it changed as a player. What do you think of that, Mick?
Well, I believe that the pre-match warm-up is, you've got to be careful that it's not individual, but you've got to give the individual an opportunity to be what he wants. If he was to sit in a corner with the earphones on, others want to touch the football, others just prowl around. I've seen players there 3 to 3.5 hours before the ball bounces. I've seen others just walk in, like my deadline was 2 hours, they walk in right on the 2 hours. But the most important thing is, when the ball bounces, their heart rate can go up, not already be up. So in other words, if you get over the top and you get out there and there's no room to move, then you can only expect them to do it at the same pace. So the idea is to bring their heart rate down so that when the ball commences, the game commences, you've got somewhere to go. But each player likes to do that differently, how they get to that level.
How did you see it change over your journey, Boomer?
Yeah, I've seen a lot because we had one stage, and I don't know if you guys would remember.
Oh, about the music?
Or the lights were down. The lights were down and we did this relaxation yoga type of thing.
Wow.
And it just didn't do it for me. So I did it the first time because Mick's right. You've got to have some team element to it where everybody's in, but you need to have a really individual part of it that you have to get up and perform at your peak. We did this little yoga, lights out, hip thrusts and leg raises. And my first game, I reckon I had 2 touches in the first quarter and I couldn't get near it. And I said, I'm not doing that again. So when the boys used to do that, I used to sneak off and just go get my massage on the hammies and calves before the game. And then when you're out in the ground, you do have to hit your speed because you don't want to go in doing everything at 80% in the warm-up and then just go and bang game like. Yeah. So we had a little phase of about 4 minutes where you had to hit high speed and go really high intensity. Then you go back in, listen to the coach, bring it all back down, take in all the information. Then when you get out, you've already been there and done it. So it has changed a fair bit.
Boom, I know it's a long career, but tell me the coaches you've had all the way through.
So I started with Dennis Pagan.
So that was the Dennis Pagan with the relaxation?
No, that was under Brad Scott.
Right. You know where he got that from?
Where?
Collingwood.
Yeah, there you go.
Because we used to do a little bit of meditation before we went down. That's to bring the heart rate down. Again, I look around the room, I'm not going to name players, but some of them were feeding, their eyes are open and they've got the music going. The others are really concentrating. So it is an individual thing.
It is.
But you've got to join in to get, you've got to be there.
Yep.
The thoughts of Mick Malthouse and Brent Harvey here on Sunday Footy on ABC Sport. We'll be back with the second quarter next, as I said, on Sunday Footy on ABC Sport.
G'day, Patrick Stack here from ABC Sport Daily. If you love sport...
Well, so much of it is just frustration and expectation and the drought for a major trophy that dates back to 1966.
And great conversation.
I think as soon as I got to sort of a social age, I really kind of took that as my identity. It was the baseball kid.
Then you'll love ABC Sport Daily.
He had this incredible talent and the world at his feet.
ABC Sport Daily. Get it on the ABC Listen app.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL season. Every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
McInerney with a play at it. Memory got in the way. Picked up around the body. The snap from Wilson. Oh, belt at right angles.
Wow.
Darcy Wilson with a leg break the best spinner would be proud of.
Membry comes up and marks. 2 kicks from home. Still has men on inside 50. He'll go really long towards full forward. Marshall drifting forward, he marks.
Yeah, great play by the Saints.
Boots the ball from 20 out, directly in front. In he comes, puts his laces through it, and the Saints have started hot. Forward handball to Goulden. Wide out, right half forward, gets onto that left again. Kicks towards Wilkie, can't take the mark. Spills to McDonald, swivel, snaps, goals. Sydney's first.
To Goulden, to Wicks. Thought about going on with it. Marks 48 metres out for Sydney. Options everywhere. Can offload to McDonald and finds him. And Logan's got it 40 from home. Got their entire score so far, Logan McDonald. And he pulls the Swans within a point.
The 2024 AFL Premiership season.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
So scores level at quarter time, Sunday Footy on ABC Sport. Round 17 from Docklands, our experts, the record breakers. And one of Brent Harvey's, probably not one you realise, the most bounces ever taken in VFL, AFL history. Mick Malthouse and Boomer Harvey.
You don't hardly ever see that these days. People, they stop, prop, look around, watch themselves on telly, decide which way they're going to go, generally go sideways. You know what's happened? Carlton, Sydney, run the ball. And I reckon GWS last night run the football, and those that run the football these days are far better equipped. Boomer was hard. Boomer, you kicked off on a lot of occasions, didn't you?
Kick-outs?
Yes.
Well, that was one of Dennis's rules that I had to go down here
and you know what we had to do?
Running.
You know what we had to do? We had 2 players on the mark. One at 45, the other one. So whichever way you drifted, we had to stop you playing on.
Oh, there you go.
That's how brilliant you were.
Would have been good to know that back then.
Scores level, second quarter underway. Grundy wins the tap down. Warner arcing around the back, wins the footy, kicks it to Papley. Nice overhead mark. But a Swans little man, he kicks infield to Florent. Backward of the bullseye in the middle, kicks into it and Heaney marks. First full pre-season in 10 years, he said, Isaac Heaney, and you can see the fruits of that labour this year. Short to Florent again, he looks inside 50 and Marty leading up and he takes it out in front, 35 out directly in front, and that was a little too easy for Sydney.
Well, they cut through very, very well. They used the football. It only went about 2 metres high, or 3 metres high, so it's very difficult to stop. But the only way you stop that is you block the channels, and by doing that, you do it with your wingers. Wingers get in there and stop that area.
Sydney have not led today. A slow start. He hits the post. It is their first lead, but a minor score. 2-2, 14 St Kilda. Sydney for the first time. 2-3-15, they lead by a point.
Waste no time bringing it in. The Saints. That'll offload it to Wanganeen Miller up now to Burns. Inside the defensive 50. It's just nurses the kick down the line. Nice delivery. Windhager had it poked from his grasp by Rampy. He'd been paid and taken the mark. Now Wanganeen Miller down the line. Sharman dives in. Man from the Leeton Witten Crows in regional New South Wales takes the mark. Drops his kick right to the edge of the arc. In from the side is Wood. Hand to it from Owens. Runs straight into Heaney. Thrown into the turf. Not going anywhere. Ball up right half forward for the Saints.
Gordon had the 12 touches in that first quarter, so probably don't need to tag just yet, but they certainly need to keep an eye on it.
Winning the tap down, Marshall. Windhager buffeted off his kick. There's a high tackle applied, and that's Marshall there on.
Yes, so.
Errol Goulden. He will get to his feet. Always burrowing in. One of the academy products for Sydney, and mainly St Kilda at absolute loggerheads over the academies as Goulden turns it over. Not having his best kicking day so far, safe to say, as Wanganeen Malera comes back up with it, laces out Marshall. He marks 45 out, worse than a 45-degree angle right half forward.
He's getting forward, Marshall, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. No, he can kick this. He goes 50 metres. He just has to settle in on that right-hand goalpost, aim for that, let the ball drift back. So there's no need for panic here to see if he can find a target. When you look at Sydney, they've got 2 players in the centre square. All the rest of them are basically in the back 50. So it's up to him to kick this.
Big Rowan. In he comes. Boot the ball from the arc of 50. Brings it back off the right-hand goalpost beautifully. Marshall goes whack. And St Kilda take back the lead. 3-3-20 plays 2-3-15. A 5-point advantage 3 minutes into the second. Mick Malthouse and Brent Harvey.
Well, Mick, we had a good view of that. Well called, by the way, because Benny put the jinx on Goulden before, and you've just steered that one through for Marshall. You called that 20 seconds before he even knew what he was doing.
I'm not going to pump myself up here, but
well, you can. I think you should.
No, a few years ago, when he was just a lad coming through, I made a statement. I reckon he would be the next big thing in the ruck because he was so aggressive.
Yep.
He's playing forward pocket, but every time he went to the ruck, he was just at. I don't know if he's the best ruck in the competition, but I tell you what, I'd go in the trenches with him.
Who was the ruckman a couple of years ago when he was the number 2?
I'm just trying to think who would have been there when he first started. That's it's a long time ago now, but he's a great competitor.
But he plays footy before he came to the Saints. North Ballarat, Nick.
Well, that's probably half the reason.
Warner out of the middle for the Swans. Drives it to full forward. Oh, it might go all the way. It was untouched. And Chad Warner's bounced it through from 65.
Bit of good work done in the goal square.
And Marty was in the wrestle in the goal square. He and Wilkie both missed it. And Chad Warner gets on the board. Swans back in front instantly. 3-3 to 3-2. 4.5 gone second term.
Isn't it funny, Mick? On the goal line, when someone's having a shot on goal, you can pick your opponent up, throw him over the fence, whatever you want. There is not
no
a
free
thing.
Kick.
You can do something around the ground and slap their shoulder, and it's a free kick. It is bizarre how some of these things are not free kicks. I'm pretty sure, and we'll get the privilege of watching the replay, but Wilkie was getting held, and held convincingly.
Yeah, and I'll go one step further and say, if it's a forward that gets touched, good luck. It's they've got this biased. There you go, grab this jumper.
Grab his jumper and his arm.
Grab this jumper and his arm, and the fourth umpire, he's getting overpaid.
Third lead change of the afternoon. They've all come in the last few minutes. Sinclair with the clearance for St Kilda. towards half forward, crashing out, unable to mark Sharman, spills down, row bottom tackled by Marshall. A little crocodile roll and a ball up to come. Sunday footy here on ABC Sport. Up it goes. Grundy trying to take it out of the ruck, gets a handball away. There's a holding free kick in amongst all of that. And Rowbottom to get it. So Sydney with it, defensive point of their square, gives it off to Goulden. Long high kick in the McLean direction, up he goes. Howard spoils it down. Jordan Roves, will give the handball back, no. Holds onto it and will kick all the way back to the logo. Mark taken by Warner.
Most recent goal kicker in the game. Hunter Clark is called a couple of times to stand by Matt Nichols.
Paddy Ryder was the player there.
Good shout. Florent long to the pocket. McLean in the wrestle. Brings it down. Grundy does the roving. That was industrious. Jordan had his kick smothered by 3 Saints. Bounced straight back to him. Heaney's handball forward. Dangerous spot. Top of the goal square. Wanganeen Miller are up and down the mine shaft. Saints defence does well. Windhager flicks it out to Wilkie. Wilkie kicks to half back. Terrific mark from Membry. The one-time Swan. All the way back in 2014. Chisels his kick in field. Not a good one. Swans let back in. And again, that Saints defence scrambled. Here's Membry again to drive it off half back.
Goes with a long kick up to the wing. Rampy launching at the footy. Doesn't take the mark. Down at ground level he goes again. Now Higgins pinches it for the Saints. Gets a handball away to Steele. Handball out to Owens. Wide out. City wing. Snaps it towards half forward. Florent drops the mark. Down at ground level there to mop it up. Blakey. Handball away to Papley. Handball to Goulden. Elsewhere at the MCG. The D's have won by 54 points over the West Coast Eagles. Swans with it at centre half back through Jordan, who received it from Goulden. Goes short to Hayward. Defensive point of the square.
We haven't spoke about matchups at all, Benny. That's because there's a lot of handovers.
Oh, is there ever?
There is not. St Kilda are playing their system rather than playing a player.
Goes wide Hayward out to Campbell, who kicks up towards a teammate in Wicks. He can't take the mark and the ball tumbles out. Welcome to those of you joining us from the Melbourne and West Coast Eagles game. It is St Kilda and Sydney, the annual pride game between these two sides. Sydney leading by a point. We played 7.5 minutes in the second term. St Kilda kicked the first 2 goals. Sydney with 3 of the last 4.
So it's the Swans who, as Benny said, are up by 1 point, 21-20 at this stage. The ball is on the wing. Lloyd to Rowbottom for Sydney. Now to Malikan. Goulden's been busy. Disposal number 15. McInerney's kick straight up and down the mine shaft. Turns it over. Darcy Wilson. Boy from the Wang Rovers kicks inside forward 50 through the hands of Rampy. Roved by Wood. Flick the handball on. Ricochet to Rowbottom. In tight confines, the Swans defence does well. Rampy exits. Lovely kick. Finds a Marty. He's got on the board so far, but only in a minor sense. Logan McDonald's got 2. Rowan Marshall's got 2 at the other end for the Saints.
The Saints just can't score easily because they've outnumbered Sydney on a number of occasions in their front 50. Just mucked up the ball at the psychological moment.
Here is Hayward tracking it in the forward pocket for the Swans. Jordan picks it up. Handball away to Grundy. Room to snap on goal. It bounces into the behind post and a throwing to come. So Sydney by a point. 9 minutes played in this second term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. The experts, Mick Malthouse and Brent Harvey, the record breakers. Myself, Ben Cameron, and Joel Peterson calling all of the action. Lauren Borden on the boundary. Umpire flings it in. Forward pocket for the Swans. Grundy laying it down. Burns there for the Saints. Gathers the footy. Gives it off to Sinclair. In his defensive goal square. Goes short to Wilkie. It continues this incredible game streak. 125 and counting consecutively from debut for the Wall of Wilkie.
So the reason why they're held up here, Mick, is because a lot of their players were all in the defensive half of the ground. So when they look up and they want to go fast, they literally just can't because there's nobody to kick the ball to.
Steele back to Howard for the Saints. One of 5 inclusions alongside Burns, Philippou, Membry and Patton. Wilson the target of the kick on the City wing. And trying to ride the bump was McCartan. Got grabbed, caught holding the ball. Darcy Wilson wins the free kick.
And this is where they need to go fast. They got one-on-one. Sydney are just going to go back. That's a great kick.
It is a low kick to Sinclair, who marks on the front edge of the square. Immediately offloads. Windhager kicks to the top of the goal square, and Butler accepts it to his chest, having got rid of Warner. 15 metres out. Dan Butler will kick from 20-25.
I don't know whether that kick was intended for that target, because it was just like an up and over kick, but getting back to what Boomer said before, move the ball quickly. Yep, okay, the first one was a nice mark. I don't know if it was even intended for that player, but by ball movement, quick into a Sydney-dominated or Sydney ground, you end up taking one-on-one, so you've got a chance.
9th game of the season for Dan Butler. He's only kicked goals in 3 before today for his 6 on the campaign, and he sneaks that one in to hand the Saints back the lead. 4-2-26 St Kilda. The Swans 3-3-21. 11 minutes gone, second term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Your experts are our games record holders, Boomer Harvey and Mick Malthouse.
Mick, I spoke before the game around. I was a little bit confused because they play a quick game of football and they've got quick players, but then sometimes they don't. I've understood it now. Being here. Yeah, the Saints, yes. Yep. When they defend so deep, high up the ground and so deep that if they do get a quick play, they look up, they're outnumbered. Yep. The visual is all just Sydney today, so they can't go quick. So then it's stop, kick, stop, kick, stop, kick. Then when they get it forward, their forwards have all worked back, then they can go slow. Yep. So there's a discrepancy around their quick play and their slow play.
Well, that's Ross Lyon's modus operandi, is get numbers back to make...
defend first.
Yeah, that's right. But you technically should try to keep 1 or 2 forwards forward, i.e. in a box formation. That should be playing on.
Centre bounce back in the middle and a free kick picked out, going the way of the Saints and Philippou.
Matt Nichols whistled rather forcefully at Jack Steele then.
He wasn't happy with him, was he? As Philippou goes short to Marshall, attacking edge of the square for the Saints. Drives it inside 50. Grundy gets back and marks. Holding free kick anyway. We'll go to the Lizard Blakey. We do have 1,324 games of experience guiding us through this match in the back row in Brent Harvey and Mick Malthouse today.
You and I providing very little in that regard.
I should have said between all 4 of us, shouldn't I, really, as Campbell stabs it short for the Swans, just beyond the defensive arc. So
well, technically
by
it
5
is,
points.
Yeah, technically it is.
It is. It would still be a good ratio, really.
Yeah, it would still be, just about all be 300 gamers in our broadcast this afternoon. Blakey, beautiful kick to Campbell. Braden Campbell.
His 6th touch for Blakey. They normally try to get the ball in his hands as much as they possibly can, but he hasn't had a huge influence so far.
Rebus 32 last week. Campbell, long kick up toward McLean. He was in the wrestle with Wilkie. Spills to the front of the pack for the Swans. Jordan, handball to McInerney. Handball back in field. Heaney has to try and find some space. Does so to Warner. Now to Jordan. Left half forward. 70 from home. Back on his right boot. High kick to a dangerous spot. 30 metres out. McLean reaches up. Can't take the mark. Rowbottom's there. Out the back of the back is Hill for the Saints. Now to Webster. To Battle. Feigns inside. Blasts it outside. Owens will get there to make it a 2-on-1 in the black, white and red jumpers. And he takes the mark at right half back.
Yeah, good defence by the Saints, got their numbers. Not sure about that hand pass overhead, not knowing where it's going, but good numbers.
Owens goes long to a contest. Out the back, Membry trying to come away with a whistle on the play. Yeah. Free kick going the way of McCartan.
Well, they don't know. They're all looking at each other thinking, this is a gift.
McCartan's got no idea whose ball it is, and it's his ball.
No one on the mark. Membry's run off.
The free kick wasn't really there.
Tim Membry, of course, playing against his former side. McCartan, driving ball up towards half forward, punched away there by Howard, comes down, and Hunter Clark is there, roves the pack, kicks towards half forward, looking for a marker in Higgins, and McCartan is there again to mark, right on the defensive line of the centre square for the Swans. St Kilda by 5 points, 14 into the second.
Brave mark that, running back into the pack, not knowing what's coming, really brave.
He doesn't lack for courage. Good to see him back out there playing good footy. Tom McCartan, that's not a great kick in field. Henry almost chops it off for the Saints. Webster, lightning hands to Owens. Back to Clark alongside the centre circles. Bouncing hand pass to Burns. Now to Henry, edge of the arc for St Kilda. Nice sharp work from Windhager to Philippou. Left foot kick. He just flings it goalward. Way to the left. Minus score.
There's a lot of turnovers to take the ball off Sydney, so they can't get the ball forward. Their work at the ball is quite good, the Saints.
Yes.
Lakey with a really short kick in.
Mick, I can see why you look at if you don't watch a Sydney game and you look at the stats, and Sydney's mids have had an abundance of football. When they're in close in that inner circle that you talk about, they have 6 or 7 handballs before they go.
Yep.
If they can't kick it in, they'll have another 6 before they go.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. and they're very strong with it.
Swans work it towards left half back, and McCartan pokes it to Florent.
Saints are covering very well. They're making Sydney actually kick the ball reasonably high, so it gives them a chance to come and spoil the ball. Here we go again, another high one.
Yeah, kicks long around the wing, unable to mark Grundy. McDonald doing the roving, gives it off to Papley, shrugs a couple of tackles, gets a handball away, but Clark brings the pressure. Knocks it away for St Kilda towards the boundary line. Arriving late, Campbell carries it out with a little shove from Clark, and the throw-in to come right beneath us, right on the centre line, dockside of the ground. St Kilda by 6 points, Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
There it is again. That passage of play was great heat by the Saints to cause that ball to come from half back to now onto the wing.
0437 774 774 to fire a question to Boomer or Mick this afternoon, wherever you might be listening. Clearing kick for the Saints, bounced through the legs of Campbell, picked up by Owens. Filippo chips it short. Membry has it bashed away by McCartan, and Membry slaps the turf in frustration. And the ball in.
Mick, sorry, Joel. Some people will say this is under 10s football, but I tell you what's gone out of the game is a shepherd.
Oh,
absolutely. You give the ball, so Mitch Owens just picked up the ball and gave it, and the Sydney player run directly past him and put pressure on his teammate.
Get the wings out, get the arms out.
Benny, it sounds funny, but mate, you know what it does? It gives you an extra 2 metres or an extra half a second,
that's all you need
to make a decision. We're at the highest level. It's silly stuff, but it's so basic, and I just can't believe players don't do that anymore.
See it from the best teams, but not too many of them. Goulden burrowing in at half-back for the Swans. Henry, McInerney tries to force it forward. They're all dragged into the mess and have ball up 48 metres out from the Saints goal. They lead by a kick, 17 gone, second term.
Saints aren't letting Sydney get the extra behind the ball either.
How are they doing that, Mick?
Well, because they're keeping their front six, and they're not allowing, if the Sydney play goes forward, if the Sydney play goes forward, the Saints players going forward with him. So they're just going one-on-one behind the ball, the Saints.
Free kick.
No extras.
From that ball up as well. And it's going the way of Filippo. The mark set 49 metres out, 45-degree angle. Great insight from the Coaching Games record holder, Nick Malthouse, picking it apart here on Sunday Footy on ABC Sport. Filippo on the runway from outside 50. Long left foot kick, goes to the line. Blakey puts his fist into it. And a minor score. St Kilda lead by 7 points. 17.5 into the second term.
You think he went 4 goals, or is he going for the 10-metre kick out?
Nah, he went for the goals out. I just
reckon he was a couple of yards short of his best.
Younger brother.
It was a very flat kick, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Javan is coming through the system in South Australia as a bottom major in their under-18 setup at the moment. So a couple of talented athletes in the Filippo family. Goes over the boundary line, will be tossed back in centre of the outer wing.
So Mick just spoke about St Kilda being one-on-one, and the way they get their spare behind the football is their winger works super hard, comes down and picks up a defender, and that Constantina's down, and that allows Wilkie to be the deepest.
Absolutely.
So it's just through work rate that they get their spare.
Yep.
Big country beating the Allies in the under-18 national championships earlier today as well. So it sets up a massive country v Metro clash next Sunday to decide the underage national championship. Here is Filippo. He was a star of South Australia's team a couple of seasons ago before being a first-round draft pick. Jordan. Swans back in possession now. Blakey to Warner. Got caught by Higgins. Got his handball away. Picked up by Campbell. Neat left foot kick out wide. They can build her up again here. McDonald's up at high half forward.
Warner's had no space today. Every time he gets the ball, he's getting shut down. I haven't seen him take a running bounce, which normally we see quite a bit.
St Kilda winning the quarter, 2-1. McDonald goes long in the McLean direction. Owens there with him, spoils it down. Here is Warner, bursting through, gathering cleanly. His snap straight up and down. It'll come down in the goal square. It comes down in the goal square. McInerney gets boot on ball and whacks it through.
They just need to spoil the ball, Saints.
Well, the umpire's not going to call that. It's way too close.
It was a poacher's goal. If we're looking at the round ball world game, right place, right time, and there's a fingertip near it from Nasiah Wanganeen-Malira. Soft call is a goal. It does look like fingers bend back, but is it before or after the boot of Justin McInerney?
Oh, not two angles they've shown, not very good.
Ooh.
That's a goal.
Yeah, from there. If he's touched anything, he's touched the side of the ball at best. Well, just there. just there, I reckon his fingers
Really
on it.
hard press.
Looking at these angles, there is insufficient evidence to say whether the ball's been touched or not. Decision on the scoreboard.
Well, at least it was swift. He didn't waste a lot of time.
The Saints will be ruining that one. That should have been smashed over the line there. They had an opportunity. I know it was a bad bounce, but you just got to be in a position to do that.
So 4-4-28 plays 4-3-27. It's back to a 1-point ball game. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. The record breakers Mick Malthouse and Brent Harvey.
You're spot on, Mick. There was a one-on-one contest in the goal square. 2 St Kilda players were coming back with the flight. A little bit of courage there, but the 2 were stationary.
Yeah.
They need to kill that football. When the ball is anywhere within that 8 metre,
take it through.
You got to kill it. It's a coach killer, isn't it?
Oh, well, it's 5 points. It might cost you 5. Instead of a goal, it's a point. Well, what we?
And you talk about easy goals in football. Gee whiz, we lost by 3 goals, but we gave up 5 easy goals.
Yeah,
that's an easy goal.
Yeah. Well, and getting back to that, we've seen so many times the ball inside Sydney, St Kilda's forward line that looked. They're going to get it. No, just not quite the class to finish off.
Underway at the Gabba as well between Brisbane and Adelaide. That's where you'll be heading at the conclusion of our game here at Docklands this afternoon on ABC Sports. Saints with the clearance out of the middle through Clark. Long kick up toward half forward in the contest. McCartan taken by Florent now for Sydney. Grundy got thumped into the turf by Marshall. Squirted forward for the Swans. Wicks, clean pick-up. Nice kick up to Hayward, who gets the arms out, extends, offloads. McDonald on a searching lead. Marks right at the top of the 50.
These are what I'm talking about. Exactly.
Offloads to Campbell, cruising past on the left boot, and Braden goes boom! Campbell cracks one from outside the arc. And the Swans back in front by 5 points with their third of the term. 5-3-33. The Saints 4-4-28. 22 gone, second quarter, Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
But just what I was talking about, making it easy for themselves. The Saints had the ball, put pressure on Sydney players, and I'm talking about right on the front 50, their front 50. Just couldn't get the ball off them, and when they did, they overran the football. Ball bounces up, comes out the back. Sydney got it. Sydney get clear because all the snouts are in the trough. And by that, what I'm saying is everyone's over the football instead of a couple in there. Just spread yourselves out so you've got an outer, so you can feed off it or defend it. No, and the ball goes down and Sydney score a goal. That's an easy goal, and it's hard work on the St Kilda forward.
It was a great lead by Logan McDonald, who was heading back hard towards goal and just tipped lead back up at the football. And beautiful hit by the Sydney player.
5th lead change of the afternoon here at Docklands.
We spoke about Sydney's ability to throw the ball around before. They've just been a lot cleaner than the Saints in that part of the ground.
Secondary restart in the middle and free kick picked out. It'll go to Grundy. Thinks about spreading it out wide. Thinks better of that. Goes the direct route inside 50. Hayward through his fingers. McDonald roves, dribbles on goal and just sneaks it through for a minor score. So Sydney starting to get their game going. They lead by 1 goal neat, 23.5 minutes into this second term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. There's a beautiful message here for you, Mick, from Michael in Brisbane. I'll get to that at half-time.
Long kick back into play. McCartan reaches up, goes out, and we will have a throw in.
Tyler from South Perth says, "Hi lads, loving the call. I'm with Boomer. The goal line is international waters. Would infuriate me as a former fullback, just with the non-free kick call that was given against Joel Amardi on Callum Wilkie."
The nautical miles off the coast, no rules apply. Lloyd at the stoppage for the Swans to Papley, kick deep inside the 50. Hayward ran underneath it. Robbie Fox is scooting back there, breaks the tackle and rams it through.
Nice.
Quick.
Robbie Fox latched onto that, and there was no stopping him. And the Swans are out to a game-high 12-point lead, 6-4-40. St Kilda 4-4-28, 3 on the bounce for Sydney, 24.5 gone second term.
They kicked 3 in 4 minutes, and 2 of them were through lapse of concentration. We spoke about the first one at the 20-minute mark where St Kilda should have killed the ball. The second one, Campbell runs off half-back. Everybody in the competition knows that he's an elite kick.
That's it.
Don't let him go and wrap around it from 55 out, because he's 9 times out of 10 he's going to get it and he's going to kick it. That one was just classy play by Fox. It was he took on 2 Saints players there and was very quick, very impressive. I like it.
Flying fox on that occasion through the contest and
again,
finish on the snap.
Again, a missed tackle too. Saints are paying for these missed tackles.
Grundy at the restart, trying to take it out of the ruck, drops it, allows in Marshall, squeezes a kick forward, but Lloyd's there. Sydney back in possession. Averages more disposals against St Kilda than any other opponent. Jake Lloyd kicks from half-back to half-forward. McDonald coming at it. Can't mark. Might get a free kick. He will. Wilkie impeding.
Yeah, he's supposed to spoil the ball. This is 1890 stuff. They invented this stuff to say you let us spoil it. It's been 140 years and the umpire says you're not allowed to touch it.
He had no...
no bearing.
I don't think Mick Malthouse and Brent Harvey liked that call.
No.
Peterson.
That's a fair call, Ben, to say that, because he couldn't do nothing.
Mark set 50.5 metres out. Logan McDonald, who kicked 2 goals in the first term from the edge of the centre square, unloads long. It's out to the right. McLean's marked it. And copped a clip across the chops from Webster too. But he's got it alongside the goalpost.
Well, I just hope
check it.
I just hope for St Kilda's sake that this has gone through, because
that will be another goal, Mick. That
I don't reckon it has gone. Oh, it'll be close, but I don't think it's over.
Well, it's just poor play by the Saints. They're all looking at it. This is where you have players in front. Yep, I've got a player in front.
Looking at these angles, we can see the ball was controlled prior to crossing the back of the scoring line. Decision on the scoreboard.
Yeah, so the ball was horizontal, which helps in this instance because McLean's almost marking it on the back of the horizontal ball, which keeps a part of it in front of the line, or the whole of the ball isn't over all of the line, and so the mark is paid. And McLean deep in the right forward pocket, Lark out on the left and snap for goal. He does so now and rams it into the post. The woodwork disturbed. And the Swans lead 14 points, 27.5 minutes into this second term Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Saints waste no time bringing it into Brad Hill. Thumps his kick down the line through the hands of Malacan. Picked up at the front of the pack by Steele. Jabs it forward straight to Lloyd for Sydney. Stops, props, swivels, assesses. Eventually just loops his kick defensively to Rampy.
Just the setups by the Saints going forward. Really, it's all grunt, have a crack, but there's no signs to it. They just don't cover the back. They don't cover for the inevitable punch back.
Malthouse alongside Boomer Harvey, your experts on ABC Sport. Warner through the pack, couldn't take it with him, but it was allowed to play on. Heaney grabbed it, gave it to Amati. Waterised the sticks from distance, and he doesn't miss from there. He's a long-range shooter. He's Chad Warner, and he's got a couple, and they have both come from outside the arc. Sydney skip away to a 19-point advantage. 4 in a row now for the Swans. 7-5-47. St Kilda 4-4-28. 27 gone, second term.
This is why he's such a good player. He doesn't need a lot of the football at all. That's his 11th disposal, and he hits the scoreboard and has had 2 goals now. And he'll kick another one in the second half, and all of a sudden he ends up as a midfielder with 3 goals.
26 goals on the season now.
So I was looking before when you mentioned those boys kicking 24 before today, obviously. He's kicked the same amount of goals as Toby Green.
Yeah.
Toby Green's a stay-at-home forward. Chad Warner is a midfielder. He's kicked the same amount of goals as...
He's kicked 2 more goals than Jack Higgins, who is St Kilda's leading goal kicker this season.
Remarkable. Incredible ability to hit the scoreboard. The question is as well, will he hit the Swans moving forward? Significant interest from the Fremantle Dockers. Secondary ball up from the restart.
Well, there's been some ridiculous amounts of money being thrown around for players. If you want to spend some money on that guy.
Up it goes. Grundy tapping it down to himself, and we'll do it again in the middle.
Well,
Sunday footy on ABC Sports. Sorry, Mick.
No, it goes without saying. Saints need one before half-time just to steady the ship, because they've had enough of the football but just haven't had the class forward of the ball to do anything with it.
Marshall wins the tap down, trying to follow up Philippou. Still not coming out of there. So we'll go again.
And they've got a good match up forward too, the Saints. They've just got 3v3.
Last 4 goals of the game. They've kicked 5 of the last 6. Marshall wins the tap down. Heaney extracts it. Shovels out a handball. Out after it. Wanganeen Malira wins it back for the Saints. Windhager coughs it up. Sydney at half forward. Amati tackled by Wanganeen Malira. Taken down in a strong tackle And we'll get a ball up right on the arc of attacking 50 for Sydney.
So it's just little things like that. That hand pass gets to a target and the Saints are away, but no, it's just shy of being a good hand pass.
Kilda just trying to put the brakes on at the moment. Steele rips it away from the stoppage. Pumps a long kick up toward half forward for the Saints. Owens made the contest, brings it down to Membry, pops it inside the forward 50. Wood with the flight takes the mark. He had Wilson in the pocket. And Mason Wood is going to go back and have a shot 45 metres out. Better than a 45-degree angle to the right. Your former teammate, Boomer?
Yes, very good man, a very fit man, and usually, I don't want to put the commentator's curse on him, but usually a very, very nice kick for goal.
Well, he's got the left side open for him.
Yep.
That's a really good bit of play by the Saints, though. No fuss, no bother, just move it forward.
7 goals, 3 this season. He's had 19 disposals in every week since coming back from the mid-season layoff. That kick is left out to the left-hand side.
It's not even scored. I mean,
it was marked on the line.
It's just so poor.
So not only is it a poor set shot, but it's another one where the Swans have marked it right on the line with no representation for the Saints.
Melican with the long kick out towards the wing, looking for a marker out there and no one able to take it off hands. It tumbles out, thrown to come on the City side of the ground, City wing. Listening to the game while watching the Waffle Women's Grand Final at Joondalup Stadium. Go the Sharks, go Swans. That's from Susan in Perth, free kick.
Yeah, undisciplined by the Saints. In the last 10 minutes, they've just gone back to being one of the bottom sides.
Kick up towards half forward, no one able to take the mark. Down at ground level, Steele wins it for the Saints, gets a handball moving forward, and Grundy is there to just knock it out.
Of course, Waffle W Grand Final today, Sandford W Grand Final yesterday. South Adelaide premiers in that competition. So well done to the Panthers.
More of a North Adelaide Roosters guy myself, Joel.
I didn't have a team when I was over there, Benny. I just couldn't pick one.
19 points. Here's the advantage the way of the Swans. Throw in on the wing. Grundy laying it down, trying to emerge with it. Rowbottom uses his strength, squeezes a kick inside 50 and Marty can't mark. Papley on the burst by. Right foot snap from 45 is brilliant. Amazing execution and the route is on. Right on the halftime siren. Sydney extend out to a game-high 25-point lead. They move along to 8-5-53, plays 4-4-28 on the halftime siren. The goal kickers, 2 to Warner, 2 to McDonald, singles to Campbell, McInerney, Fox and also Papley, while for St Kilda, Marshall with a couple, then singles to Wilson and to Butler. It is the Swans by 25 points at halftime. The record holders, Mick Malthouse, Brent Harvey.
Well, Mick, that quarter, the Sydney Swans didn't do anything special for me. They just play their system.
Yep.
And they do it so well. They're cleaner than the opposition, they're harder than the opposition, and they just do it for longer than the opposition. You mentioned a couple of times, or we mentioned a couple of times that quarter, the Saints in close, just not clean.
Yep, sure.
Where Sydney, we spoke about, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 handballs and they go forward. But they're all clean, they're all on the same page. And the concentration that quarter, I reckon, or I think, Sydney kicked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 goals in 11 minutes. And 3 or 4 of them were through lapses of concentration. And the one they even missed, McLean, who took that mark on the goal line, his direct opponent at the time was Webster, who would be 6, 7 inches smaller than him and 10 kilos lighter, or 15 kilos lighter than him. So they're the little things. Mason Wood has a shot on goal from, doesn't make the distance from 45 out. There's no representation on the line for St Kilda. They're the concentration things, Mick.
They are. Boomer, I'm going to give you a stat that's going to stagger you, and I've got to make sure I got this right. Inside 50s for that quarter by Sydney, 10. Am I reading that right?
Yep.
And score 9.
There you go.
90% when it goes
unheard of.
Front 50. And that is unheard of.
Yep.
That is just diabolical for a side that prides itself on defence. So
how many inside 50s Saints have?
That quarter, 7.
7?
Yeah.
That's low.
That is very low. It's hardly touching it. And it's just not. Contested footy was 23 to 24. Not that that's going to be the indicator on this type of game. It's more how you stop the side from multiple receives and what you do forward.
And that was interesting. Early in the game, the Saints were dominating the kick mark game,
Yep.
and in that quarter, 29 marks for Sydney to 15 of St Kilda.
Yeah. So it's flipped on its head. But like I reckon 7 or 8 minutes, so let's say 10 minutes out. Well, no, I'll go 7 or 8 minutes. The Saints had the ball in and around 50 metres, not quite in. If it went in, it was only just in. Players around it. There was one in there, and it might have been prior to that 7 or 8 minute mark, where it was 3v2. Everything was in St Kilda's favour. Couldn't work it out. No blocks, as Boomer's already said. No blocks. All chasing the football instead of, say, taking one of the Sydney players away from the ball. Sydney cleared the football, so no score. Goes in again. All numbers. It comes out again from a missed hand pass or a missed kick. It comes out again. Wood has a shot from 45 metres out, doesn't even score, as we just said. There's 3 or 4 occasions where the Saints haven't even scored, and on the tail of that, Sydney go forward and do score. So you get savaged by sides when one is on top of the ladder for a very, very good reason, and the other one is horribly, won 5 games and can look horrible when they don't put the score on the board, and the Saints have not been able to put scores on the football. Don't worry about King. It's not about King being full forward. Memory's down there at the moment. He's been starved of the football. The small forwards have been starved of the football. They're not getting enough of the football to trouble a side like Sydney. 62 possessions that quarter, if I'm reading it right. 62, is that 62?
Yep, 87
62.
to 62.
How many quarters you're going to win when you get 62 against the top side? So, and I say that's fine so long as the opposition only get the ball 55 times. But they've had it 87 times. So it's not only another 25 times, it's letting good players get the ball 25 times. And if you get good players get it 25 times, guess what? That scoreboard has doubled. Well, they kicked 6 goals and 4 in the last 4 minutes.
The problem is, again, Mick, they've kicked 4 goals, 28 points to half time.
Yeah.
Let's double that, and add a couple of goals. They're going to kick 60 points again.
Yeah, you can't.
66 points, 70 points. They're not going to beat Sydney. No team in the competition is going to beat Sydney kicking 65 points.
No, that's exactly right.
The thoughts of record breakers Mick Malthouse and Brent Harvey here on Sunday Footy on ABC Sport. Text coming through from Michael in Cooperoo in Brisbane. Hi Mick, I won't be offended if you don't remember, but 21 years ago this month, we met accidentally at the restaurant at Cradle Mountain Chalets. We chatted by the fireside and your wife chatted with mine, who was expecting our first child, who'll be 21 in December. You're both very kind and we enjoyed chatting. How time flies. That's from Michael in Cooperoo.
Well, I can't say it was. I'm totally got memory of 21 years ago, but I do remember being at Cradle Mount and do remember talking to some people there. So there you go. And 21 years ago, wow, that's extraordinary.
Quite incredible, isn't it?
It is. And what a great place Cradle Mountain is. If it's not one of the best places in Australia, I don't know what is.
What were you doing 21 years ago, Benny?
21 years. I'm getting pretty old. Going into year 7, I guess.
Yep. I didn't run around with the North Melbourne jumper on.
Yeah, correct.
Good man, Joel.
Number
good man.
29 on the back.
Yeah, that's what we want to hear. We like that one.
Number, we like it.
21 years ago, Boomer, you were just in your prime.
Yeah, I was 25.
By that stage, you'd almost...
Take me back there, 21 years ago. Oh, please take me back.
You're still Boomer, even at a local level. Brent from Subiaco. Hi, Grandstand. Great call as always. It's so good. You have 2 incredible special comments from the legends Mick Malthouse and Boomer. It's always interesting to hear what they describe about the game. ABC Sport is the only station to listen to the footy. Ash in Ararat says listening to a good game, calm the Swans. Jed in Gundaroo says great call, fellas. These slow starts by the Swans may well be some physio strategy to keep the players' heart rates low. But what about us fans? We're suffering through it all. Also, another text here, Paul from Mount Dunedin. Hi, gents. Just a little trivia for the future regarding James Jordan being the sub in 2021 in the grand final. Leith Vandermeer was also the sub for the Bulldogs. Both players wore 23. Neither player was used during the game. Good to see both players have gone on with their career. So that was when James Jordan was at Melbourne. I did think surely they could have found a thumb injury. So this
didn't matter though, that far in front.
Yeah.
You've got to give that player.
I know.
What did they win by?
So it wasn't
about 100 points.
It was only the medical sub back then, I think.
Surely someone had
find it.
I think they found a few reasons in other games to do it.
You got to get someone on it.
I would be disappointed with one of my mates.
Yeah.
They didn't, like one of the boys that, with even 10 minutes ago, just say, oh, I think I've just done Miami.
Yeah. Get him out there.
No one's going to know. You're not playing the following week.
I am disappointed as well that he didn't go with number 45, having worn 23 as a Jordan at the D's. He could have gone for 45 when he moved to the Swans, but
that's the sign the career's going downhill, though, I think, Benny.
Well, he came back wearing the 4-5, did MJ. It is Sunday footy on ABC Sport. It is Sydney leading by a game-high 25 points at the main break. 8:5:53 plays 4:4:28, and time for us to pause and take the latest from the ABC newsroom.
This is ABC News with David Rowlands. Police have alleged that a man tried to prevent rescue efforts by emergency services during a house fire that killed 3 children at Laylaw Park in Sydney's west overnight. Police say 2 boys, aged 2 and 4, died shortly after they were taken to hospital. A 10-month-old girl was found dead at the scene after the fire was extinguished. Detective Superintendent Danny Doherty says a woman and 4 other children under the age of 11 are being treated in hospital.
We're treating this as a domestic-related homicide, multiple homicide. The 28-year-old man is currently in police guard and hospital. He's in a induced coma at the moment, being treated for smoke inhalation and other matters or other medical issues in relation to the fire.
Western Australian Premier Roger Cook says the State Labor Party will continue to work together following WA's Fatima Payman's defection to the Senate crossbench. Senator Payman will be serving as an independent for WA for the rest of her term after voting against the Labor Party and calling for Palestinian recognition. Mr Cook has dismissed notions that his state party is fractured, saying it's just poison coming across the border from Canberra.
Just like cane toads, we need to resist the poison that comes from Canberra or from over east at times. I think everyone in Western Australia understands the importance that we can work together to continue to have a safe, peaceful and inclusive society.
Elder Auntie Muriel Bamblett has been named NAIDOC Person of the Year for her advocacy for children in out-of-home care. The 2024 NAIDOC Awards, held in Adelaide overnight, were the first major gathering of First Nations peoples since the failed voice referendum last year. Auntie Muriel says she works to return children to live safely in their homes.
In Victoria, 88% of Aboriginal children come into care because of family violence. So a lot of our work, particularly in Victoria, is in being able to support children to go home safely.
Police are appealing for public help to identify a man who died in a car crash southeast of Melbourne overnight. Yvette Gray reports.
The man, believed to be aged in his 30s or 40s, was a passenger in the back seat of a silver 2009 Jeep Wrangler that rolled on the Baxter-Turadin Road at Turadin about 8:30 last night. A 38-year-old man driving the car and his front seat passenger, a 34-year-old man, were taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Major Collision Investigation Unit detectives remain at the scene working to determine the circumstances surrounding the crash. Police say the unidentified deceased man has a distinctive tattoo of an eagle on his left forearm, a shaved head and facial hair. He was also wearing a red, black and yellow beaded bracelet.
Officials in Ukraine say 3 civilians have been killed in Russian shelling near the city of Kherson. The regional governor says artillery strikes have been targeting villages to the south of the city. Meanwhile, Russia's defence ministry says 7 Ukrainian drones have been shot down over the Belgorod region. The area has been subjected to daily Ukrainian attacks. Polls are opening across France for what's being seen as the country's most crucial election in decades. Larry Buttrose has the story.
While voters in Britain have just bundled out the country's long-serving Conservative Party's centre-right government for the centre-left of Labour, it's a very different story just across the Channel. Today, French voters will decide whether to make a hard right turn and embrace the national rally of Marine Le Pen. In the first round of voting a week ago, it won the largest share of the votes. That prompted the centrist party of President Emmanuel Macron to join forces with a left-wing coalition to try to block them.
Health officials in South Korea say about 1,000 people are suffering from food poisoning linked to kimchi contaminated with norovirus. The contaminated serves of the popular fermented cabbage dish were distributed through school meals. They say students and staff from 24 schools are among patients with vomiting, diarrhoea and abdominal pains. 130 million people in the United States are under warnings amid a heat wave sweeping across the country. Forecasters say high humidity and oppressive heat could see temperatures in many areas top 38 degrees. Records are expected to be broken across the US, with the hot weather expected to continue for another week at least. And in sport, Australian golfer David Micheluzzi is just 2 shots off the lead heading into the final round of the European Tour event in Munich. He's at 12 under, tied for 5th with American major winner Patrick Reed. Englishmen Jordan Smith and Scott Ewan Ferguson hold a share of the lead at -14. This is ABC News.
The ABC Tennis Podcast is your Australian serve of tennis all year round, be it on grass, clay or hard court. Join myself, Catherine Murphy, and former Australian tennis players John Millman and John Alexander as we unpack results and storylines from the Grand Slams and beyond. It's the podcast Australia's Alex Demonor listens to.
I know Alex is a big listener to the ABC Tennis Podcast.
Find the ABC Tennis Podcast on the ABC Listen app.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL season. Every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Warner out of the middle for the Swans, drives it to full forward. Oh, it might go all the way, it was untouched! And Chad Warner's bounced it through from 65.
Here is Warner, bursting through, gathering cleanly. He snapped straight up and down, it'll come down in the goal square. It comes down in the goal square, McInerney gets boot on ball and whacks it through.
Nice kick up to Hayward, who gets the arms out, extends, offloads. McDonald on a searching lead. Marks right at the top of the 50. Offloads to Campbell, cruising past on the left boot, and Braden goes boom! Campbell cracks one from outside the arc. Apley kicked deep inside the 50. Hayward ran underneath it. Robbie Fox is scooting back there, breaks the tackle, and rams it through. Quick. Robbie Fox latched onto that, and there was no stopping him. Heaney grabbed it, gave it to Amati, waterised the sticks from distance, and he doesn't miss from there. He's a long-range shooter, is Chad Warner, and he's got a couple, and they have both come from outside the arc.
Yeah, undisciplined by the Saints. In the last 10 minutes, they've just gone back to being one of the bottom sides.
Yeah, Marty can't mark. Apley on the burst by. Right foot snap from 45 is brilliant. Amazing execution, and the route is on. Right on the halftime siren. Sydney extend out to a game-high 25-point lead.
The 2024 AFL Premiership season.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
So Sydney leading by 25 points at halftime. 8-5-53 plays 4-4-28. At one stage, it was St Kilda leading by 5 points. That was 10 minutes into that second term. They kicked the next 4 goals to extend out that 25-point advantage at the main break. 8-5-53 plays 4-4-28. Just repeating the goal kickers. Warner and McDonald with a couple. Braden Campbell, McInerney, Fox, and also Papley with singles, while for St Kilda, their goal kickers are Marshall with a couple, Wilson and Butler with singles. After this game, we will be sending you to Brisbane for the Lions and the Crows, 4-2-26. The Lions lead Adelaide, 2-2-14, closing in on quarter time in that match. 0437 774 774 is the number if you wish to get involved.
A couple of Saints fans' eyes will be on the draft next year, Benny, of course. Yes. Crop of midfielders, really talented crop of midfielders in that draft. Finn O'Sullivan, potential number 1 pick, returned for Vic Country today. He was pretty impressive. Harvey Langford's bolted up the draft calculation. So Vic Country beat the Allies by 2 points today. Couple of academy prospects in that game. Leo Lombard is headed for the Suns. The Swans have got a prospect there in Lachlan Carmichael as well, who had 20 touches. So Vic Country win. They and Vic Metro, both undefeated. They play for all the marbles next Sunday morning at Princes Park. So if you're a draft Nick, and there'll be plenty of people around the place who are, especially if you're a North Melbourne fan or you're a St Kilda fan at this stage of the season, and you're thinking about what's next for your club.
Richmond,
absolutely.
First time ever on the bottom of the ladder, is that right?
Yep.
I think in 14 years, isn't it?
Oh, is it 14 years?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I seen on Instagram last night, ever.
Oh,
ever in the last 14 years.
Yeah.
But
right.
So there's plenty of talent, but Finn O'Sullivan is right in that number one pick conversation, and he's going to be he's back with a vengeance for Vic Country.
I want to ask you two record breakers, Mick Malthouse and Brent Harvey, and you can join in as well, Joel. But these are the two clubs that have primarily been going heads up in terms of the competitive balance debate that has been such a big part of our football vernacular this year. Sydney, naturally, advocates of the academy model, which they've benefited from, and St Kilda very upset about father-son picks and the academies. Where do you stand on it, Mick?
Well, I am. You know where I am. I would say that if you're going to, there's no fairness in the AFL. The AFL doesn't know what the word fair means. So, when you've got 18 sides, you're going to play 25 games. So straight away, you've compromised. And I say about the draft, it should be bottom side. Bottom four sides, so we get rid of this notion that someone's trying to hook in on the bottom and stay there. Bottom side, we have a lottery system. From there on in. I don't care whether your father has played 470 games.
Not quite, but
I'll give you. For Boomer, bad luck. You're in the draft. You take what may.
So you don't want the father-son rule?
I don't want a compromised draft. That is compromised. I want an even draft where it is just totally and utterly even. And the only way you do that is the bottom four sides have a choice of and get lottery tickets. And let's go bottom side gets the first pick. Second bottom, second pick. 18, the premiers get 18th pick. If you want to trade them and that sort of stuff, trade them. But trade them with an arbitrator. And father-son, you're in there. Because there's a lot of kids that were Murray Rance played 99 games, so why shouldn't have Rancey been?
Well, it used to be 50.
Should be a sliding scale.
The only place I get is 1,000. You get to 1,000 games, and you've got it. They have a right.
You want Paul Cooper Harvey to be playing for another club rather than North Melbourne, where his dad played. Nick, I thought you had some romance about you.
None whatsoever.
None.
And the academies should be run by the AFL. And get off their backside, run them, and the academy kids go into the draft like everyone else. There's got to be an uncompromised draft.
Thoughts of Mick Malthouse here on Sunday Footy on ABC Sport. Underway in the second half. It is the Swans leading by 25 points.
19th team coming into the competition. It's going to be a long time before that's even a spectre of reality. Grundy will take the free kick to get us underway after the ruck infringement by Marshall. Then an entertaining duel between the two. Nick Blakey just comes steaming off half-back past him, accepts the hand pass, drives it to full forward, picked up by Jordan, quick hands, tried to find Hayward on the end of it, handball flicked out, Burns in defence for the Saints, Webster clearing kick, high one to half-back, Florent got upstairs, knocked it down, Heaney was there, hasn't had his usual output. Today, Isaac Heaney coming off a season low, 20 disposals last week. Handball back to Warner for the Swans. Back inside the forward 50. Played it there from Wicks. They still can't take clean possession, and this scrambling Saints defence holds up. Burns around the body outside the defensive 50. Cooper Sharman comes across to bash it away from Warner and see it out. We'll have a throw-in left half forward for the Swans. A minute into the third.
Go back to the first bounce in this second half. Grundy gets a free kick. He hand passes it to a left footer in Blakey. Getting back to what you said, Boomer, why aren't St Kilda switched on to know that Blakey is going to run past?
Grundy wins the tap down, tries to follow up at ground level, going in, Wanganeen Malira. He just knocks it out to Warner. Swans at half forward, gives it off to Goulden, runs boundary side, kicks on his left towards full forward. No one can mark. Amati juggling it, but off hands. Umpire calls play on. Wicks gathers, gives it off to Papley. He snaps on goal and just hooks it a little too much. Just misses, minor score.
It's a good point, Mick, because we know every person who watches a quarter of football knows that Nick Blakey is the run past king, and they want the ball in his hand. So you've got to be up, ready to go and waiting for it.
Brad Hill, he comes cruising out of defence for the Saints after accepting the kick in. Handball's off to Webster, kicks long down the line looking for Marshall. Brody Grundy with some considerable strength. Hands off to Blakey, no room to move that time. Hemmed in along the boundary line. Handball ricochets out of play in front of the Swans bench.
This is an opportunity for the Saints to show what they are worth, though, because the first quarter they were quite good. Part of the second quarter they were okay. It's their concentration and the ability to just get the ball in that forward line, because we know that they didn't have a lot of possessions. So the idea is to build these possessions up by your work rate.
8th annual pride game between these two teams, both in the rainbow socks and the rainbow colour adorning the Swans jumpers as well. McInerney dragged off it by Clark. Stoppage on the AFL logo. Henry bursts away. Kick into the centre of the ground. Oh, it just got to Webster, who comes away with it for St Kilda. Chiselled it to centre half forward. Higgins couldn't mark low down. Sock it to the outer side. McLean will run onto this for Sydney.
Waiting for the bouncing ball. McLean tracking it out towards the wing. Gathers for Sydney. Handball back to Goulden. And get around Webster. Feigns to kick a couple of times. Eventually kicks to half forward. And Dougal Howard is there to mark for the Saints. Sydney lead it by 26. Gives it to Wilkie. He'll kick deep in the defensive 50 to Wanganeen Malira. They complete the switch. Taken by Steele, who'll come back infield. Centre half back and Hunter Clark.
So this is a better build-up, but now they need to go quick. They've got to find the spare, which they got over the top, and they've got to go quick, one-on-ones.
Sinclair loops it over the top to Battle. Kick smothered by Rowbottom. He's the king of the 1%ers, knocks it down to Goulden. Now Sydney come quickly.
And they will come back with interest. Heaney inside 50. Hapley's in space. He centres it up. They've got options absolutely everywhere, and Hayward's a good one to find. 40 metres out, directly in front. Then when they did go quick boomer, Brad Hill just stood there.
Well, the kick got smothered in the end anyway, didn't it? I think it was Battle that might have kicked it. And it just wasn't quick enough. They had the ball that they're trying to get inside the corridor. They got it there. And then they didn't face the game quick enough. They didn't go quick enough. There was no urgency about it. They were just waiting to see what was going to happen. And Sydney's pressure was just too good in the end.
This man,
they allowed it.
He spurned free agency earlier in the season. Will Hayward, 28 goals on the season, 3 last week. He misses that one away to the right. It was an awkward approach. Not his best effort. 8-7 the Swans, 4-4 the Saints. The margin is 27 points. Foregone third term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Brent Harvey, Nick Malthouse, Lauren Borden, myself, Joel Peterson, and this man, Ben Cameron, with you.
Kenny from Q, currently in Mackay, has texted in, why aren't you broadcasting the Lions? You can find that on the ABC Listen app, Kenny. You just need to go to the AFL Extra button and we'll take you to that game at the conclusion of this one. Saints at right half back and trying to kick it centrally was Wanganeen Malira. Can only succeed in turning it over. Wicks runs a little loop, fires on goal and misses. To the left-hand side, Sydney lead by 28 points 5 minutes into this third term.
It's okay to go through the corridor, but 1v3 is not exactly the odds that you'd be picking.
Yep.
And particularly if you don't nail the kick.
Wanganeen Malira comes out to Henry at half-back. Didn't take the mark, but able to keep it alive. Kick down the line, missed memory. Grundy. A half-back flanker coming the other way. Handball was a bit awkward. Straight back to Henry for the Saints. His handball infield, chopped off by Hayward. McInerney's got some room to move. He eyes the sticks. There's no one home. He rolls it. He bounces it. He dribbles it through.
And Wilkie's in row 3.
Wilkie's gone flying into the crowd. Justin McInerney's got that one home. Might be Howard, in fact, who went flying over the fence. It was as he went back to try and touch that on the line. He went toppling over the advertising hoardings and into the Swans cheer squad. Probably got hit with a pom-pom or two while he was there. 34 points the margin for Sydney, 9-8-62. The Saints 4-4-28, 6 gone third term.
Young Henry's got to learn. That's the second or third time he's gone through the corridor with the hope of hitting a target, and nothing even remotely looks like he's going to hit the target. He's got to learn to be able to come back and play the safety when you need to play safety, because it just opens up the whole game for Sydney. They dominate corridors. When you play at the Sydney Cricket Ground, it's just you're wasting your time anywhere on the wing. So they work the corridor, and they work the corridor through these things. So
it was touched. What an effort from Dougal Howard.
It was all worth it.
It was all worth it.
Why did it take so long? Why wasn't there a proper score review? Or the umpire just call a goal?
The umpire called it a goal, and backed himself in, probably in the knowledge that they are reviewed on the way back to the middle.
I don't mind that.
That's good.
There
That's
was a
really
little
good.
groan from the crowd when they did show that first replay, and I think they had a sneaking suspicion it might have been touched, but...
Well, that's really good. That's fantastic up in the box. It's the central umpires don't know because they're not near it. And the goal umpire, okay, you can only judge it. So that's fantastic. I really love that bit of play. That our game has got that quality to be able to do that.
That's how it should work.
Totally agree, Ben, with you. Absolutely, it should. No time wasting.
Sydney by 29 points. Wilson in the back pocket for the Saints. Gives it to Wilkie. Left foot kick up to the wing, looking for Filippo. Up goes Grundy. Windhager can't gather it at ground level. Still can. Saints with it. Halfback, Hill. Away to Sinclair. High kick up to the wing. Underneath it, Membry takes the basket catch. Sydney by 29, Saints with it on the wing.
Terralgan Tim rolls around on the right boot, overshoots Wood. McCartan getting back there. Wilson for the Saints. Handball back to Wood, dragged down by Gordon. Malikan sticks his hip in as he tries to shove Sharman off the footy. Now the Swans come away. Heaney to McInerney. Chain of hand passes. Ends up with Florent. He flares his kick wide. It's a good one as well. Hayward's up to Mark. Loops it over the top with a searching kick to McDonald. He's got Jordan burning back toward goal. One way, the other. Ran out of room. Ran into trouble. Just got the handball away. The Swans will keep it moving. It's Socken to Warner. He's 49 from home. Everything they do at the moment turns to gold. Wicks runs into trouble. He's tackled. Ball spills loose. Finally, Hill can scoop it up for the Saints. Outlets to Wangadeen Miller, who's got plenty of time at right half back.
He's got plenty of time, so I'll tell you why. There was one St Kilda player forward to centre, and there were 5 Sydney players. St Kilda's formation is horrid at the moment. It is all based on stopping Sydney kicking 20 goals. It is absolutely diabolical, that structure in front of the ball.
Mick, I feel the same as you, and I don't like to be negative. I just can't see St Kilda kicking not only a goal, but I can't see him scoring heavily enough. They've kicked 4 goals, 2.5 quarters in.
Yeah, it's okay to have Sydney at 9, but you're still half the score of Sydney. They've got to get this ball into an offensive position through either run or, I don't say daring, because don't give the ball up. Like kicks like this, it gets you 10 yards, but you've got to make sure. So there's no one leading at the player. There's no one totally lateral.
Very stagnant, isn't it?
Oh, it's just horrid.
Just chipping it around. Eventually Burns will kick slightly longer towards a target in Filippo. Punched away from him by McCartan. And now here come the Swans. Laurent just stops and props, then kicks on the 45. McInerney, great half volley pick up. Dispossessed in the Webster tackle. Holding the ball. And the Saints, they go backwards initially. And now Wilkie. He'll kick infield. Elsewhere it is Brisbane. They lead by 13 points early in the second. We'll take you to that game next.
Big win for the D's at the MCG earlier today. Wanganeen Miller, a lovely kick, finds Wood between the wing and left half forward for the Saints. He had Hill out wide, elected to go his own left boot, sends it inside to the pocket. Owens with strength, palmed it down to Membry, now to Henry. His kick smothered, spilled to Malikan, gave it up to Wood, throws it on the left boot. Great finish. Great finish from Mason Wood.
Yeah, it was.
It was an opportunist goal, and he makes the most of it and narrows that gap to 23 points. Mason Wood with his 8th of the season. 5-4-34, plays 8-9-57. Swans still in charge, 10 gone, third term.
It was ugly.
It was ugly.
But they got the ball with numbers in front and contested though, Boomer. That was the principal difference, was that they at least, even though it was ugly, they had numbers where the ball was and where the ball was going to go.
Well, Wood marked the ball down here in front of us, probably 75 out from the goal. And normally they would go slow and really, it was stagnant, same as what we called just before, to a contest. At least he took the game on a little bit and tried to hit a target in the forward pocket. He followed up his work. He ended up kicking a really good goal. Well done, Mason Wood.
Yeah, too right.
St Kilda do play the Crows next week. That other game, we'll keep you across it. It is Brisbane by 19 points. Isaac Rankin bumped Starcevic off the ball. They clashed heads. Starcevic taken from the field and subbed out. So one to watch with Isaac Rankin. He may not be playing next week against St Kilda. Also out of Melbourne and West Coast, Jeremy McGovern taken to hospital with rib and lung issues. So may not be able to fly home today. Secondary bounce in the middle. Back here, Grundy taps it down. Sinclair with the clearance. Tumbling ball towards half forward. Sydney there. Through Goulden, then Florent. Handball to Rowbottom. Back to Goulden. Running through the middle. Look out. Just shoved off his kick. Butler impacts the kick. It dribbles towards half forward and arriving the Saints in numbers, but it spits out to Amati.
Handballs quickly, and they'll drive it inside. Florent, long kick, really good kick. Oh, it's gone all the way. Ollie Florent with a long goal. They're all getting in on the act for the Swans. And immediately that margin jumps back out to 29 points. First goal of this term for the Swans. They kicked 4 behinds previous to that. 9-9-63 to the Saints, 5-4-34. Just a 4th for Ollie Florent on the season. Comes at the 12-minute mark of the third term on ABC Sport.
So, Mick, there's a contrast in styles of play. Goulden gets the ball off half-back, takes 2 bounces, take the game. Yeah, he nearly got caught, but he's still got a scrappy kick out. Sydney turned the ball over, 1-2 handballs, break a line, Florent kicks a
long kick.
A nice goal.
Yep.
From just outside 50, was it, or just inside 50? One of the two, just outside 50.
Yeah.
But it was quick ball movement. That's the contrast right now, what I'm seeing. Sydney winning the ball off half-back and just going, yep, we're going.
We're going, that's it. But, and the other thing is, it's unfair for football when the ball bounces all over the place. Not true. The Saints had that ball covered, then missed it.
Yeah, they had a 3-on-1 in it.
Yeah.
Bounced to Amati from the restart in the middle, not coming out.
And it goes
with... sorry, Mick.
No, sorry. It goes to a Sydney player, and yet the right should have been to the Saint player.
Here goes Warner out of the middle. Steps around his opponent, Schoenmaker. Forward handball to Fox. Inside 50. Dabs it for Amati. Lateral lead. And he clunks it. 25 out. Tight angle left forward pocket.
That's what I like seeing.
Speed out of the...
Yeah, it was fantastic by Warner, wasn't it? Gets the ball off the ruckman. 1 bounce, 2 bounces. Gives a handball off, and then St Kilda defenders are scraping. They don't know where they're going.
Joel Amati kicked 9 goals a couple of weeks ago. On the snap from the pocket. It's the fat part of the footy and just gets it through for a minor score. Sydney leading by 5 goals. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Agree with Mick, the draft is not even, nor for the son. Father-son should be scrapped after this year. We Blue Baggers deserve the twins. Speaking about the Camporellis, of course.
Ben and Lucas, both talented prospects for South Australia's under-18 team. Let's check in downstairs with Lauren Borden.
I just always like to watch how the subs approach having to sit at the back of the bench and maybe their preparation, like you mentioned, pre-game. Taylor Adams has spent a lot of time with the laptop in front of him looking at game footage. So that's what he's been doing basically to involve himself in the game.
You sure it's not games he's watching? As in...
the other games?
Yeah.
Sitting there watching
or the races.
I'll have a closer look.
He's still got the tracky pants on down there, Loz.
He does. Tracksuit pants on, warm-up top. You don't see many with the tracky pants on, but he's got them on.
No, he rolled with it in the warm-up at speed as well.
Friday night, there was a player on the bench wearing 2 pairs of track pants.
Nick Hind.
Nick Hind, yeah.
Yep, Nick Hind. Where's he from, Mick?
He's from Clunes.
Clunes.
There you go. That is cold.
That's very cold. That is Arctic. Absolutely. Here's Warner again on the burst. Handball releases him inside the forward 50.
Great tackle.
And he ran into a red, white and black wall.
Yeah, that is a great tackle. A team tackle.
Yeah.
Call that.
There was 4 of them in there.
2, 3. Yeah, three tacklers. And the captain.
Mind you, he took them on. So that's what he's prepared to do.
Terrific stuff from the Saints. It'll be Dougal Howard who ends up with the footy. Whether he was really in on the tackle, not sure. He offloads to Wangadeen Miller.
He kicks to centre half back. Webster marks. Now the Saints can be out on the dockside wing. Spots up Wood. Looks inside 50. Back lead from Membry. Kicks into the pocket. Brilliant kick. Hit him in stride. Membry marks. Deep in the left forward pocket for the Saints.
That was a beautiful kick.
It was Boomer. But what they've been able to do, quick movement like that catches any good side out because the backline player in that, do I go with my man or watch the ball? And once he watches the ball, he's gone. So, you know, that's surely the secret there is broken. Just get the ball moving. Not belt it in, get the ball moving.
Against his former side, began his career at the Swans. His snap is a shocker. Goes to the top of the goal square. McLean goes up. Lots of it. Doesn't mark Filippo. Picks it up. Buffeted off his kick. Still pinballing around. Higgins gets rid of a handball. And eventually emerging Florent for Sydney. Tumbles a kick beyond the defensive arc.
It may not stay there for long. Battle to Howard. Now to Butler. Right half forward for the Saints. Around the body inside the forward 50. McLean able to accept that to his chest. He hasn't had much luck against his former side, Tim Membry. Just the 3 wins
Played that one game against the Swans for the Swans in 2014 against Essendon. Didn't kick a goal in Sydney colours. Moved to St Kilda the following season. McCartan in right back pocket.
He's not in great form, is he?
He's had a tough year.
Yeah, he tried to kick that ball way too hard for a snap as well and just collected the belly of the football.
One of their 5 inclusions, played only 7 games last season and 12th game today. Long kick, clears the pack. Wicks will run onto it for the Swans. Can he keep it in? He paddles it, he fumbles it, he bobbles it. He does keep it in. Handball short. Fox gave it straight back to Clark of the Saints. He gave it straight back to Goulden of the Swans. Now to McInerney. Kicks an absolute sack inside the 50. And it's marked by Battle in the left back pocket.
He wants to switch it. Somewhat dangerously, but it finds its target, Butler.
Now where though? That's the thing where when you transfer the football, you must have an option. You've got to play chess. No Chinese checkers where there's nothing there. You just got to make sure you find a target.
Need a little bit of a gambit, you think, Mick?
Well, you've got to be. It's not a matter of looking at one play. You've got to look at the whole ground. Now, what can I do?
Trying to work it towards the dockside wing on the long kick from Dougal Howard. It's punched out of play, throwing on the wing. Sydney by 30 points. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. The record breakers, Mick Malthouse and Brent Harvey, guiding you through it.
So what just happened then was Schumacher off half-back bypassed one of his St Kilda teammates and allowed Sydney, they didn't have to press. No. So if he gives him the ball, Sydney press, that's how you get your overlap. Yep. And it just didn't happen.
Ball thrown back in. Grundy and Marshall entangle themselves in ruck. McInerney's had plenty of it this afternoon. High kick up toward half forward. McLean in the contest with Howard, who's been good on return for the Saints. Windhager sat under the hand pass, worked his way out of trouble, gave it to Sinclair. Here they go, quick up the corridor. Higgins the target of the kick, immediately moves it on to Henry. Henry low, hard, inside the 50, finds Sharman.
Great football, St Kilda, and we've waited to nearly the end of the third quarter to see it, where they can break a line, give a handball that someone's running forward in space, then lower the eyes. Sometimes it's not a hard game, Mick.
No, it's once your mindset is set on certain things, you've got to break it. If it's not working, break it. Do something different.
Cooper Sharman, often the sub for the Saints. He's been subbed off 3 times this year. He's been subbed on twice. Kicked a goal after being subbed on last week. He's played the full minutes so far, and he lets that go and loves it straight away. Set shot from Sharman is a dart. And the Saints have their second of the term. 6-4-40. The Swans 9-10-64. Margie's 4 straight kicks, ticking toward time on in the third term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Well, to make it interesting, if the Saints can score next and have been a major. Now, I know that's wishful thinking. I'm not saying I'm barracking against Sydney, but just like a good game, I'd like to see the Saints get some reward for their hard work. They have worked hard. They're not bludgeoning. They're not turning their toes up or anything like that. But the die's set. If you move the ball quickly, you'll catch Sydney any other side. But if you move the ball slowly, Grundy gets back, their wings get back, and it becomes laborious.
Nice text for you on the SMS line. Back in the middle, Heaney can't emerge. Paul from Catherine. Here, Mick Malthouse. Talks a lot of sense about the issues in AFL footy today. Should be running the show. Totally agree, RE the draft. Out of the middle, goes St Kilda, Windhager, Aaron handball. Allows in Robot and picks it up, gives it off to Jordan. Sydney quickly forward, kicks to full forward, mark taken. Back there by Wilkie for the Saints. Shorts it away to Sinclair, he kicks to Filippo in the middle. Now they can go quickly, St Kilda. Pokes it to Henry in space, centre half forward, looks inside 50, goes long, they've got an outnumber. Up goes Owens, can't mark. Milliken takes it, dispossessed. Holding the ball. Yes.
Well done. Really well done. That's great ball movement and reward for the tackle. Just fantastic play by the Saints.
Megan with the great tackle. The swift Saints. Straight up the corridor they went. And now Higgins gets a chance to kick that goal you were asking for, Mick.
Well, you should kick this, Benny. How good are you?
45 out. 45-degree angle, 15 out, he pops it through. And it's back to 3 goals. 7-4-46 moves St Kilda. Sydney 9-10-64. 21 and a half minutes into this third term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
So, Mick, that last goal was identical to the one before, where they came back through the middle. The Philippou kick that just dropped his eyes through the middle of the ground to Henry, who could then go. Because if he missed that kick, it was going to go to one-on-ones. Henry gets the football, turns.
2-on-1 and the Sydney lad did a very good job of spoiling it.
He did, but there's one position as a backman you don't want to be in, and that's with your back to the ball, kicker, facing the opposition goal. And that's what St Kilda, the last 2 goals, they've been able to do to Sydney through quick ball movement and back through the middle of the ground. I just wish I'd seen a little bit of this in the first half.
You know, Boomer, both goals have had to come from the half-back line.
Yes, correct.
You'd like to see it come through the corridor here from the centre square.
Just that stoppage scoring has been a massive issue for them. All season long, the Saints have been okay at chaining it out of the defensive half, as you say, Mick. Steele from the restart, tumbles it forward. Higgins lays another good tackle, this time on Lloyd. Spinning through is Campbell. He's grabbed by Wood, not going anywhere. Let's check in with Loz downstairs.
Marcus Windhager's gone straight down into the rooms for the Saints. You could see him and the doctor mouth the word hammy as he came off, so it's not looking good for Windhager at the moment.
Patton, the sub for St Kilda, hasn't been used thus far. Taylor Adams is for the Swans, also hasn't come into the game yet. Errol Goulden runs into a couple of the Saints and we'll have a stoppage. Half forward for St Kilda. They trail by 3 straight kicks, 23 gone third term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
So what did Lawrence say? What was the
Windhager hammy.
Oh, he said hamstring.
Yeah. They've lifted their rating, the Saints, no doubt about that. Higgins picks it up, gives it off to Philippou, pulls his kick back neatly. Henry plucks it.
Great mark. Beautiful kick. Well set up. Got the loose football for the stoppage. That's what we've been sort of waiting for the Saints to do, is to get their hands on the football and then get it forward quickly. And they found Sydney players human. All of a sudden they're making mistakes. They're not spoiling it. They just can't get their numbers back.
He's had a good few minutes, Liam Henry.
Yes.
Get the ball in his hands.
Lloyd was almost inside his jumper and he had to reach and wrench it away from him. Now the set shot to really give the Saints some spring in this game. It was dead straight. He loved it. The Saints are on the march. It's back to 2 goals. 8:4:52 plays 9:10:64. Sydney lead it. 24 minutes into the third. Mick Malthouse, Brent Harvey on Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
What do we got, Mick? 4 goals to 1 in this quarter. Got themselves right back in this game. On the back of, I think Liam Henry's just had a fantastic 4, 5, maybe 6 minutes. Get the ball in the ball user's hands.
And
he's a good player. He's a good player. Get the ball into their hands.
Speed off the back line too.
Yeah, I'm liking Philippou in the middle too. He's had probably a couple of good minutes too.
And he's been playing as a midfielder in the VFL.
Seconds, yeah.
Let's go downstairs to Loz.
So Ben Patton, as the sub, has jumped to the front of the bench now, so he'll be getting ready to make his way on. He's just getting some instructions now. Windhager's making his way onto the ground, so he's getting some high fives from his teammates, so it looks like he is definitely getting subbed off and heading to the back of the bench.
8 touches and a goal this quarter for Liam Henry, and that mark status swung again, 35-10 this quarter in favour of St Kilda. It seems to be the swing statistic in the ball game thus far. Henry's involved out of the middle again for the Saints. Steele to Philippou. Sinclair sockers it. Ends up with Higgins. One more from Jack. Two goals for Jack Higgins. And the Saints have sprung to life. 1 goal ball game. 25 gone third term. St Kilda 9-4-58. The Swans 9-10-64. 4 goals in a flash for the Saints.
Mick, I was critical of St Kilda in the first half through their hands at the contest. Just then, they had 4 or 5 handballs. Jack Steele was involved, and they hit the targets. They'll clean up. Just that last one.
Stronger.
Just that last handball missed, and they kicked it off the ground, but they got the ball going forward. They played a bit of yardage football. And Higgins, that was a brilliant finish one. That was a 40-metre snap around his body. Great stuff. Great craft.
Well, they're back in it because of their grunt. Make no mistake about that.
And from Rosebud says, is Mick in the coach's box for St Kilda? Marshall picks it up off the deck from the restart, kicks to half forward. Logan McDonald wrenched off it by Butler. No free kick. Comes out to Sean Maker. Got a long left leg. A raking left leg. He kicks on goal. It's there. The Saints draw level.
Free
it was
kick.
Touched. Free kick.
Free kick, Benny, at the top of the goal square.
I think it might have been touched anyway as well, but we would have checked that. Free kick going to Milliken. They are charging.
That's a great kick by the young Tasmanian lad, Shoemaker, is it?
They got stronger legs down in Tasmania, you tell us, Mick.
Well, I think they do have Benny. It's a bit like your body at the moment. You've obviously...
It's heavy ground in Launceston. You need some power to get through it. Happily the target of the kick as the Swans bounce it back the other way. Through his hands, spills to Burns. Battle knocks it on intelligently. Might not find anyone on the end of it, and he did not
not the green. The man in the green has just given us what we... Don't give us what we expect.
Campbell.
Give us what we should be getting.
Inboard to Rowbottom. Rowbottom swings it across the centre corridor now to McInerney. Can they peg one back here, the Swans? Heaney got rid of Webster behind the play. Jimmy Webster's picking himself up off the turf. Not quite sure what went on there, but Isaac Heaney's taken the mark 45 metres out.
Now, what's the fourth umpire doing?
I was watching that. Heaney's giving him a really good flick from behind. Heaney actually stopped. Heaney stopped to say, "Oh, you okay?"
Where's the fourth umpire? What do they do?
Yeah, what is he watching?
No, that's what he's supposed to be watching.
So he's gotten away with one, Isaac Heaney. He comes in, and the Saints pay full toll.
Webster's bleeding.
Gee, isn't that a moment in this game? So Isaac Heaney slung the arm back, collected Jimmy Webster, taken the mark. He goes over to apologise to him in the aftermath as well. Meantime, he slots the goal, and the Swans are back out by 2 kicks. 10-10 plays 9-4, 28 gone third term. Boomer Harvey, Mick Malthouse, what do we make of that?
Yeah, well, it's a strange one, isn't
Free
it?
kick.
Heaney knew that he'd done it because he turned around to get rid of his defender.
And I don't reckon we are not suggesting for one moment should we report it or anything like that. Not. It's simply when you make contact with the head off the ball like that, and even if you're trying to break away from a tag, it is a free kick. And that's why I get annoyed at having our fourth umpire getting paid for the job when he's supposed to be in the back 50 watching that very thing about how forwards are set up and what's happening, and they get ball watched.
So he's expected to feature pretty prominently on Brownlow night. No issues there?
None at all. No suggestion at all.
Back in the middle, Grundy kicks quickly inside 50. Heaney can't mark, and he'll get a free kick, will he? Yes. Who says crime doesn't?
Well,
he'll go back and kick this, and he hasn't had a great day, Isaac Heaney. He'll have 2 goals. If he kicks this, he'll have 2 goals in 30 seconds.
And you can trace a lot of it back to the insufficient intent call on the outer side wing. They took it from there and kicked a goal, which
was not a free kick. Well, he hand passed it forward so he can get onto the ball.
Ross Lyon does say he doesn't worry about umpiring decisions.
Yeah, well, let me tell you his approach to it.
Here's Heaney again, and he's on the double. He's kicked a couple in a couple of minutes, and it might be a turning point in the match. Sydney back out by 3 goals. 11-10-76, plays 9-4-58, right on the stroke of 3/4 time. Mick Malthouse and Brent Harvey.
So this is what he does, and this is his capability of not having much of the football through the midfield at all. Let's push him forward. We'll get a match-up of a Jimmy Webster, who's similar height, similar weight probably, but he's just too crafty. He's just too good.
Also weight, these guys.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah,
you're right. Same height.
It's a touchy subject, apparently.
Can I say height?
Well, that could be at some stage.
I was through my career when people called me Short Benny.
What'd you reference me?
Just because I was looking at you, nothing to do with your height.
We look each other eye to eye, Boomer, don't we? We play taller. Galen Launceston says we breed them tough in Tassie, which they certainly do.
Absolutely.
Strong legs.
The young Tassie prospect out of that draft yesterday, Colby McKercher, Boomer, for the Roos.
He was okay, wasn't he?
37.
Yeah, he was okay. Uses the ball well. Got some legs on him. Gee, he can run.
Yeah, there's some great legends come from Tasmania.
Absolutely. Isn't there what? Swans are surging here at the moment. They work it forward again. Rowbottom and Warner both have a hand in it. McInerney's kick. Rowbottom back with the flight. Crashes into Burns. Great tough stuff from the both of them. Marshall's laying over the top of the pack and will have a ball up. 40 metres out from the Swans' goal. Saints close to within 6. 2 goals to Isaac Heaney has the margin back out at 18 the way of Sydney.
On the ball up, Marshall takes it out of the ruck. Spirals a kick out towards the wing. Campbell taps it down cleverly to his teammate Blakey as well. Long left foot kick into the pocket for Sydney. Amati there. Heaney roves Cleverly snaps towards space. Papley tracking it. He's right there, gets a boot to it. Wangani Malira carries it through. Sydney by 19 points.
It's like Sydney have just said, right, we've had enough of this, and they've put the foot right on the accelerator. Even though we know that there was perhaps a couple of doubtful free kicks, but nonetheless they are surging at the moment. This is where the Saints, well, they've only a few seconds left, they just cannot afford anything to go wrong now.
Kick into Burns and Steele. Steele hugs the boundary line. Malikan bashes it back the other way. Sinclair off hands, almost ended up with Florent. Clark stripped him of it, then Rowbottom came in over the top. No free kick for that as Hunter Clark picks himself up off the turf. And some frustrations from the Saints fans, but it was an enterprising quarter from St Kilda. They trailed by 30 points early on, 14-minute mark, when Joel and Marty kicked it behind to make it a 5-goal ball game. They then kicked the next 4 in the game, St Kilda. They closed to only a goal behind the Swans. 2 late ones to Isaac Heaney and another behind for the Road. And at 3/4 time, it is a 19-point ball game the way of the Swans. 11-11-77 to the Saints, 9-4-58. 2 goals to Logan McDonald, 2 to Heaney, 2 to Warner, singles to Papley, to McInerney, to Campbell and to Fox for the Swans. For the hosts, the Higgins has 2. Both of them came in that term. Rowan Marshall has 2. Dan Butler, Liam Henry, Cooper Sharman, Darcy Wilson and Mason Wood with the others for the Saints.
The thoughts of our record breakers, Mick Malthouse and Brent Harvey, 1,324 games of experience are coming up in just a moment. But time to pause here on Sunday Footy on ABC Sport.
G'day, Patrick Stack here from ABC Sport Daily. If you love sport...
Well, so much of it is just frustration and expectation and the drought for a major trophy that dates back to 1966.
And great conversation.
I think as soon as I got to sort of a social age, I really kind of took that as my identity, was the baseball kid.
Then you'll love ABC Sport Daily.
He had this incredible talent and the world at his feet.
ABC Sport Daily. Get it on the ABC Listen app.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL season. Every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
And they'll drive it inside. Florent, long kick, really good kick. Oh, it's gone all the way. Holy Florent with a long goal. They're all getting in on the act for the Swans.
Marcus Windhager's gone straight down into the rooms for the Saints. You could see him and the doctor mouth the word hammy as he came off, so it's not looking good for Windhager at the moment.
Lifted their rating, the Saints, no doubt about that. Higgins picks it up, gives it up to Filippo, pulls his kick back neatly. Henry plucks it.
Great mark, beautiful kick, well set up.
Now the set shot to really give the Saints some spring in this game. It was dead straight. He loved it. The Saints are on the march.
Filippo, Sinclair sockers it, heads up with Higgins. 1 more from Jack. 2 goals for Jack Higgins. And the Saints have sprung to life. Can they peg one back here, the Swans? Heaney got rid of Webster behind the play. Jimmy Webster's picking himself up on the turf. Not quite sure what went on there, but Isaac Heaney's taken the mark. So he's gotten away with one, Isaac Heaney. He comes in, and the Saints pay full toll.
Grundy kicks quickly inside 50. Heaney can't mark, and he get a free kick, will he? Yes. Here's Heaney again, and he's on the double. He's kicked a couple in a couple of minutes.
The 2024 AFL Premiership season.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
So it is Sydney leading by 19 points at 3/4 time over St Kilda. Elsewhere, it is Brisbane leading by 15 points just before halftime in that match. We'll send you to it at the conclusion of this fixture. Our experts, the record breakers, in terms of coaching and playing, Mick Malthouse and Brett Harvey.
Mick, the Saints got themselves back in the game, and we spoke about it fairly aggressively about their ball movement. Decided to come back through the middle and play with a little bit more flair. Their hands were cleaner. It looked like they wanted the contest a little bit more. They kicked 4 goals in 6 minutes. If it wasn't for the Heaney 2 goals at the end, that's the other thing, isn't it? The ability not to have a massive impact on the game.
Still kick 2 goals.
We'll chuck him forward. Warner's now kicked 2. Heaney's kicked 2. That's what their mids do. They hit the scoreboard. So Heaney doesn't have a massive impact in the middle of the ground. They chuck him forward. He kicks 2 of the last 2 goals of the the final quarter, 2 in 2 minutes, 27-minute mark and a 29-minute mark. If it wasn't for that, the Saints are right in the ballgame, and they probably still are, but those two goals hurt him a little bit. I would love now, I'm hoping the message from Ross is, guys, let's go out and play like we did through the middle of that quarter.
That's it.
We have to play with a little bit more flair. We have to take a little risk. Though that ball coming back through the middle, there weren't too much risk.
They were risks.
They were on.
They were by themselves. Yep. And that's what made it look good, because when they took the ball through the corridor and were able to turn, there was no Sydney players near them. That's why they were able to hit those targets. The only problem I see, this is what the other night when Essendon were trailing Collingwood, and you look at the stats, and Essendon was still getting the football.
Yeah.
A lot of the football. And I think, and they got a lot towards the end of the quarter, and you think, they're still in the game. I look at this game here and I think, Saints had a lot more football that quarter than they have for the rest of the game in terms of possessions, but they still only went forward inside their front 50 6 or 7 times, whatever it was. Am I right? So
about 9 times, I think.
9 times. 9 times.
Yep, 9.
That is still 7 short of Sydney. And so if that's going to be the thing, Sydney have scored 4 times, 9 times, and 9 times. The Saints have gone 4, 4, and 5. And 5 is 5 straight.
Yep.
It's going to the game has to flip on its head for St Kilda to win. Stranger things have happened, I understand that, and I hope it's a great last quarter. But it's all the indicators to me are that it's going to be a real tough battle for the Saints to get this going.
Are you texting in off your burner phones, Mick? There's a lot of love for you on the SMS line.
Are we related?
Quite possibly.
They're all from Ballarat.
Yeah. We'll come back to all of that. We've got to get to Lauren Borden as well. Sydney by 19 points as we turn for home. Grundy lays it down to Adams into the game, which I'm sure Loz was about to word us up on, as the kick goes inside 50 for McLean, comes down for Howard, and then picked up by Marty. Handball is intercepted there by Sinclair, and then gives it away towards Wilkie, now working it up towards the wing, coming the other way, Melican. He dribbles a kick forward for Sydney, picked up by Webster. He gives it back to Wilkie. Saints in possession. Kicks around the wing, and going up, Henry Marks. Sorry, Loz. Lauren Borden downstairs.
No, on cue, Taylor Adams ran straight into the middle, so he took the trackies off. You could see him coming in at 3/4 time, and at the other huddle, it was Jimmy Webster, who was just getting himself properly patched up after that knock to the head.
Swans bursted forward. Hayward, long kick. Heaney in the wrestle with Battle. It's knocked back toward Heaney's advantage. Now to Amati. Slips, regains his footing, snaps, misses. Minor score. Margin is 20 points the way of the Swans a minute gone in the last.
So who's come off for Adams?
Matt Roberts was the sub.
Roberts.
Just on the Heaney incident with Webster. So high fens were changed in the off-season. So it will be judged as intentional, low impact and high, which spits out in the matrix as a week. So there's every chance that he does end up getting a week, and whether they take it to the tribunal, that will remain to be seen. But that's how it will likely spit out through the matrix. St Kilda with it through Hill, kicks up for Sharman over his head. Out the back it goes, and now tracking after it. McCartan picks it up, gives the handball away to Campbell. Off to Blakey, fires Sydney towards the wing. Steele will gather for St Kilda. Off to Sinclair, gives it to Filippo. Bursts inside 50, finishes on the run. The young star of the Saints gets them rolling. Back to 14 points. 11-12, 78 plays 10-4, 64. 2 minutes into the fourth. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Well, that's one of those ones, Boomer, that we've been talking about. You want an easy goal. All the work was done out on the wing, half forward line. Lay-off hand pass or short lay-off hand pass. Player breaks through the 50. Doesn't get confronted and knocks over one from 45, 47 metres. And they're the ones that the top sides kick.
Yep.
That's what you need. Instead of having to fight tooth and nail all the way and see it scrubbed over the line. No, this was one that was all the work was done outside 50, and you run in, you knock a goal over. You love them because they're the ones that give you the confidence to say, look, if we get this ball rolling, we know we can kick goals.
Again, Mick, on the outside where you're talking about up on the wing, clean hands.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, we're out.
Good touch.
Every game last season for Mateus Filippo. He kicks an important goal there from restart. Warner tumbles it inside forward 50, and Papley's done well to judge that going back with the flight and hug it to his chest. He'll have to kick from right on the 50.
Well, he's good for it. You know what he's like. The other thing is Saints got to stay alert here because, one, to stop the runner going past, and two is that, mind you, he's a half 40 to have a shot.
So already got one. Tom Papley from 52 metres out. It is low, it is hard, it's not straight. Drags it away to the left.
Well, that's better. Had a few people on the goal line then, Mick.
On the line, and also covering any lead-up. That's the thing that was so significant for me, is your wingers were right in. What you're going to do is, just for those who are out listening in, wherever the kicker is and where the goal line is, just make sure that line is covered by your wingers. That means he's then forced to go wide to a short pass.
Great to have you with us on Sunday Footy on ABC Sport. No shortage of credentials here. 1,324 games of experience with Mick Malthouse, who you just heard, and Brent Harvey as well. Short kick into the pocket and battle. He'll go long up to the wing. Filippo flies in front to mark. Can poke it over the top of the run of Henry. Not a great kick, but Henry will be able to mark it. He'll poke it on again for Steele. Saints full of run. Forward handball to Burns. Forward handball to Wood. Right half forward. He looks long towards goal. He's bringing it back and marking on the line, Membry. Probably could have let it go through, but he'll take it. And it'll be a certain goal.
What do you do in that situation, Mick? You let it go or you mark it? I've got a fellow commentator in the next box saying I would have marked it.
I know.
Emery pops it through. That's all that matters. And it's back to single digits. They won't go quietly, St Kilda. 9 points. 11-13-79 Sydney. St Kilda 11-4-70. 5 minutes in. What would you have done, Boom Boom?
No, as a coach, I'd say that Memory is down on conference. But when a player's down on conference, he's likely to bubble it over the line. So I would be hinting, listen, just shepherd it through. If it's going to go through in the full, don't worry about bouncing.
Yes.
Because if it looks like it's going to bounce, we don't know what that's going to do.
That's the exact answer I was going to give. If that ball bounced before the line, I think you mark it every single time.
Absolutely.
If it's going to go through and nobody's around, every now and then there is something. Like you don't know who's behind you or something, so you go and just be instinctive.
Yeah.
In that case, that was pretty...
Well, the goal umpire called yours.
Yep. Yeah, goal umpire did.
Yeah. He said you're clear.
Part of being Joe the Goose is you have to not look like a goose. And Tim Membry, luckily, didn't on that occasion. Saints might have another clearance here. Steele flicks it up to Filippo. Wrenches the handball free, looking for Henry. Standing in the way is Florent for the Swans. Ricochets the kick back the other way, only as far as Wilkie. It floats it out wide for Wanganeen Millera. And plenty of it today.
I'd say Rowan Marshall is right on top of Grundy at the moment.
Sinclair nurses the kick. Lovely vision. Finds Burns at right half forward. 60 metres from home. He's got an option out wide in Butler. Finds him right on the paint of the arc. Butler's 10 in from the boundary and 51 metres out. Centering kick. That was like he delivered that to Taylor Adams on a platter. It's like he meant to kick it there. It was so direct. Adams marks and over the top goes to Rampy.
Rampy, defensive edge of the square. Heels off a long kick towards half forward. Up goes Hayward. Can't mark. Webster's there to rove. Cross half back for the Saints. Kicks out to the wing.
Been very good, Webster. Really good.
Wood takes it. Chips it short. Steele on the wing. 9 points.
Just coming back to that Butler play there where he went up to Taylor Adams, I could see where he was going to the leading forward, but it's a massive turnover zone. You just don't want to turn the ball over in that part of the ground.
Launchpad, isn't it, Boomer? Oh, called to play on Hill, and he's absolutely caught. He took the mark, took a step, was called to play on, and Heaney was right there and pings him.
Heaney then flares it out wide. Good kick to right half forward. McInerney accepts the mark, 52 metres out. Lasers one centrally. Blakey slipped over at the critical moment. Picked up by Butler for the Saints. Hand pass to Filippo. Thought about the kick. Just elects to move it on by foot. First with his legs, and now he does kick to Wanganeen Millera. Defensive hand pass to Burns. Behind the wing for the Saints. Terrific vision to find Butler. Now to Filippo. Cruising through. Offloads to Sharman. Right forward pocket. Goal coming up. 3 points the margin. Cooper Sharman's got a pair. And the Saints are closing with an almighty hurry. 11-13-79. Plays 12-4-76. The Swans led by 30 midway through the third. And the Saints have pared it back to 3.
Well, Philippou has made a massive jump for that midfield. he's not. He doesn't look typical. He just knows where to get the football, and when he's got it, he's a deadly left foot kick. He's
beautiful,
good mark. I might just go jump up in that last quarter. Just see what he's had this quarter so far.
6 disposals.
Well, I'm not imagining it. He has had a massive bearing.
6 disposals, a goal, and 178 metres going.
He kicks the ball so well. So that's twice going inside 50 now. He's seen someone out the back.
Yeah.
He's just had the ability to hit him. That's 3 goals in 7 minutes for the Saints.
Here come the Saints. Marshall wins the tap back in the middle. There's a whistle on the play. Free kick going the way of Goulden and Sydney. Saints fans don't like it. In fact, Heaney will get the free kick. It's first given back to Errol Goulden. Heaney stabs it short. And McInerney, he's got a couple of goals on the day. Sydney by 3 points. As Joel mentioned, it was as many as 30. Short kick to Heaney again. He'll be in trouble with the match review officer.
The St Kilda Sports inside.
Yeah, little backhand to Jimmy Webster. Now delivers low inside 50. McInerney slips through his fingers. Goes again at ground level. Over him is Wilkie. Umpire wants it. Right forward pocket for Sydney.
Well, that's just... He was on his knees and he dragged the ball in, didn't he? Why is that a free kick?
Half-time, Brisbane and Adelaide. Brisbane lead it by 15 points. We'll send you to that game after this.
Earlier, the D's by 9 kicks over the Eagles. His troubles deep, and Hill gave it up to Clark. Kick smothered, straight to McInerney. Now to Heaney, 2 in the third term. Kick wobbles its way to Amati, goes to ground. 25 out for the Swans, keeps it moving. Only as far as Patton on the last line. He's in a panic. Looping handball over the top, taken by Wilkie, had to get rid of it. Butler's back there trying to provide support. Lloyd picks it up inside the forward 50 for the Swans. Handball forward, tried to find Fox. It's dragged in underneath the mess and will have a ball up. 35 out from the Swans' goal. They lead by 3, but the Saints, they have kicked 7 of the past 9 in the game.
Marshall trying to take it out of the ruck, dispossessed. Papley to Heaney to Florent, bending it back into the post. Very nearly enough curl for Florent. Not quite. Sydney's lead 4 points. 10.5 played. Final term, Sunday footy on a knife edge here on ABC Sport.
And the St Kilda's pressure has gone through the roof in his first 8 or 9 minutes of this final quarter. It's got them back in the game. They've used the ball well, but their pressure's been the thing that's got them straight back into the game.
Pressure rating in that third term was over 200, so right in that really high bracket. Howard has been good on return for the Saints. Stands inside the defensive 50 after accepting the kick-in. Shares it wide with Wilkie. Now over the top to Brad Hill. 250th game next week for the 3-time premiership player. Now to Darcy Wilson. Back to Hill. Ran into a wall. Caught. Gone.
He does that too often, where he runs onto the side, non-preferred side, gets caught, doesn't know what to do with it, and inevitably loses the ball. That is just... I just think that's criminal, quite frankly.
Or he
encourage a teammate to either kick it or cut back onto your right side. Do not.
So people know, Mick, he got the ball half a metre off the boundary. He had nowhere to go. He couldn't step back inside or nothing.
No.
Sydney in possession on the wing. Hayward kicks inside 50. Webster has a lot of it. Paid the mark.
Well, one umpire was going to play that. There's the fourth umpire where whatever he's earned today, that's on that decision alone was a good one.
Saints in the back pocket. Webster switches it. What's up? Schoenmaker goes really short, gets a little woof on the Saints fans off to Steele, who flares his kick out too wide, out on the full. And not happy with that one. Sydney will get it back. They led it by 4 points, did lead by as many as 5 goals in the third term. We've played 12 minutes in the fourth. Sunday footy here on ABC Sport.
Saints can't afford to stop now, just go stop, kick, prop. We've got to go for
Malikan high inside the forward 50. Marty almost came up with that ball. Howard to Schoenmakers out the back. Across the back 50 to Darcy Wilson. He's got it inside the back arc. A first-year player out of Wangaratta. Drives a long kick up toward the City wing. Battle got rid of his opponent. Takes the mark. Moves it immediately by hand to Hill. Got the runner out wide in Butler. Butler carves the kick back inboard, finds Sinclair. Front point of the square, off to Hunter Clark, striding inside the 50, looks for Marshall, punched away by Malikan. Swans defence under pressure. Last line, great tackle. Owens, is it rewarded? No. Ball up, full forward for the Saints.
Well, great play by the Saints to get that ball that quick into the forward line. They're the chaos balls that one players just hate coming in.
Blakey and Marshall. Marshall takes it out of the ruck, gets it on the boot, doesn't make the distance. Under pressure here, Sydney. Another ball up.
Repeat stoppages, Mick. This is fantastic for the Saints.
Yeah.
They can set up behind the ball now. They'll get their +1.
I don't know if they've got a +1. It's very interesting. They're just not doing that. They've actually got the numbers at the face of the ball.
Still at full forward. Marshall wins it down. Spills out to Higgins. Snaps the goal. His third and St Kilda in front. Sydney claiming it was touched. They've come from 30 points down to march into the lead.
It's a good test by the 30 seconds going back to the goal square, because Sydney, they really believe they've touched this.
13-4-82, plays 11-14-80. 14 minutes into the fourth term, Mick Malthouse and Brent Harvey.
So the Sydney defenders are really animated around the forwards coming up and rounding up, Mick.
Yes.
In particular, Dan Rampy.
Yep.
He was really angry at someone. He was calling them down. There was too much space at that stoppage. I think that's what he was saying.
Oh, no doubt. And that's what I said. There was no one behind the ball. That means the Saints were able to one-on-one at that stoppage.
Yep.
So if Sydney have an extra player at the stoppage, they're going to murder you. I reckon it's a good tactic. You roll the dice a bit because you've got no one behind the ball, but put pressure at the ball.
Like it.
So 6th lead change of the match. The previous 5 all happened in the first half.
22-minute mark of the second term, the last time the sides exchanged the lead. And it is the Saints by 2. Having trailed by 5 goals halfway through the third. Phillippo gets them moving again from the stoppage. Membry's up and hitting that ball hard. Now it spills to Battle inside the 50. Grabbed by McCartan. Butler cruises past. Not quite that time. But they're rushing, they're energised, they're inspired, these Saints. Halfway through the final term, they lead by 3.
There's a little bit of Richmond behind it. Just then at the stoppage, instead of getting the ball and holding it in, they're just getting it forward. Just knock the ball forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep it alive.
One-on-one too.
Campbell with a fair old roost up to the wing. McLean drops it, coming through. Losing the footy there is Patton, who's into the game for the Saints. Off to Wanganeen Malera. Gives it to Marshall, kicks to half forward. No one can mark. Getting back McCartan, tackled by Butler. And a ball up. 40 out, wide out.
Well, they've got the momentum.
The Saints attacking goal.
Yeah, well, they've got the momentum, the Saints. It's whether they now panic everything and just... You still got to pick those targets off. This is the thing about the Sydney defence. They're under pressure, so therefore make them earn every ball in terms of where they've got to structure up. Because if you let them just flood the numbers down, they'll take it away. But when they're accountable, that's when every side's vulnerable.
Malthouse and Boomer Harvey with you on ABC Sport. Inside the front 50 for the Saints. Rowbottom got slung to ground, kick away as he did so. Only as far as Howard to Wanganeen Miller. McDonald got a fingertip on that as it skittles its way up toward half forward. Membry came out strong. This pressure from St Kilda is building. It's mounting. It's overwhelming at the moment.
It's a great call, Joel, because they're coming from everywhere, aren't they? It's front on pressure, it's behind pressure, it's chasing pressure, it's everything.
Grundy this time wins it down. Clark dives on top of him and a ball up. 3-point lead to the Saints, 13-5 to 11-14. They've kicked the only 4 goals of this final term. Sydney need to respond, and they need to do so now.
Swans in a dogfight for a second consecutive week. Ball bobbling around on the wing. Picking it up, Wicks gives it to Rowbottom. Kicks forward of the logo, knocking it down. Howard though. St Kilda in possession through Burns. He kicks around the wing and leading up, Henry can mark.
Really brave by Howard in that last contest. The ball just bounced in front of him, and he's the one that attacked it. He wanted it more.
So Henry, 2 kicks from home, high half forward, sets it up towards the arc, unable to mark Butler. Rowbottom spoils, comes down in his hands and a mark paid.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, I think that was a mark.
He
punched it up and then was able to clunk it.
Right. I will believe you, Benny. You're it. You're the man.
Good eyes. 3 points, St Kilda's lead.
Young eyes. You can see better than what we...
You and I are sitting here wearing glasses, so we're
exactly.
probably no comment. Here's McCartan at fullback for the Swans.
Mick, they've got him hemmed in, haven't they? That's 3 kicks now. They can't get out.
Rampy juggles it, drives it wide. Warner comes in front of Wanganeen Miller to mark. Chad Warner's got a couple of goals, but...
What's he calling back for?
He doesn't have to go back to that.
No, it's just too much authority. He's like a policeman then at a traffic light, wasn't he?
Wangadeen Miller wanted to go back to 5 and Matt Nichols wouldn't let him. Now Warner plays on, tries to put the step on Wangadeen Miller. Whacks his kick up toward half forward. Big pack forms, bounces off the bonds of Wilkie, spills to Grundy, handball back in field. Hayward lightning hands, tried to get it up to Jordan. Marshall came over the top. Free kick, high contact. James Jordan's got it at left half forward for the Swans.
The high contact when you bent over and you run into the player in front of you, I'm not convinced about that.
St Kilda leading by 3 points. Jordan with the inside 50 entry for Sydney. Pack forms. Owens comes in from the side, knocks it down. At fullback, Sinclair. Handball to Hill. Professional fumble.
Yeah.
Did it well.
Sinclair's handball too made him fumble. It was
hot.
Joint venture, that one, by the
smart.
two veterans.
2 points, St Kilda's lead. 18 minutes into the fourth. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Sydney have gone one-on-one as well now. They're going to make sure that everything the Saints does has to be has to be no cheap stuff coming out of the back half.
Mick, I'll tell you how good Philippou's started this last quarter was. James Jordan
has gone
to him. He's just coming off the ground now, James Jordan, but before that, he was sent to him to say.
Well, he was. I reckon basically him and Marshall were the difference.
Number 10 pick in 2022, Matthias Philippou, and being watched very carefully at the stoppage. Henry's handball as the Swans try to muscle it forward. Philippou gives it up to Warner. 60 metres from home is Rowbottom. Swings a high kick to full forward. Heaney's got the sit. Wilkie with the positioning in the end. Worked him under it, took the mark. Comes out wide to Wilson inside defensive 50 for the Saints. 2 point lead to St Kilda. They've come from 30 down in the ball game, having scrapped one out against Port Adelaide last week and been unsuccessful, and now a free kick to the Swans at right half forward. Schoenmakers couldn't get rid of it, and they can drive another entry through McLean.
Hayden McLean sets it up towards full forward for Sydney. Wicks one-handed, can't take the mark. Hayward roves the pack, held in immediately, ball up.
Can we get an inside 50 count for the quarter, please, boys?
It is 9-8 the way of Sydney. St Kilda lead by 2 points from the ball up. Sinclair paddles it at ground level, clears for St Kilda. Out towards the wing. Rampy's there. Blakey comes back to mop up. All of this on the logo. Hooks cleverly across the body. Florent can't gather it first time. Does second time.
Handball looking back, and then he ran into trouble. He had nowhere to go. Was bereft of options. And Cooper Sharman picked him off and gets the Saints moving. Left foot kick to Hill.
They look like they're moving on top of the ground a little bit easier than the Sydney Swans, Mick.
Brad Hill coasts away, sends it to full forward. Owens in from the side. Woods there as well. It's belted away from both of them, out for a throw in. And the best final quarter team on the competition, Sydney. They haven't kicked less than 2 goals in any last quarter so far this season. And so far they are goalless through 21 minutes. The Saints have 4 and they have a 2 point lead. Inside forward 54 St Kilda. It's forced out of play again, and it'll be tossed in 15 around from the Saints goal.
So 9 inside 50s apiece this quarter. St Kilda 4 goals, Sydney no goals.
And Saints have got to play behind the ball now. Perhaps that's because they're in front.
Grundy takes it out of the ruck. His kick goes to Philippou. He'll snap from 40. Philippou, it's touched on the line and knocked through for a minor score.
Was that
a goal-saving effort from McCartan.
So that ball must have been touched because he would have had a shot, surely.
What's the discussion about?
I think it's come off someone's leg.
I don't think it went the distance to Philippou, did it? And then, oh wow.
Oh no,
it's hit the goal umpire.
Yeah,
clearly touched, well in play.
You thought it might have come off Higgins' leg.
Yeah, I thought
it wasn't far off. It only probably 30 centimetres, wasn't it?
Those eyes are still good, Mick. Saw some foot in there.
No, it's TV, mate.
St Kilda by 2 points. 5 minutes 52 to play.
I haven't seen Sydney under the pump like this
by 3 points. Sorry,
for a long time.
It over.
This is fantastic pressure, fantastic ball movement.
One-on-one too. I love the one-on-ones. Now all of a sudden he has to make the play. And this is where you really find out with the players. I know he's a great kick. Now he's got to find a target.
So Blakey with the opportunity ahead of him. He can't find a target on the end of it. It bounced through the arms of Wicks to Marshall for the Saints, to Schoenmakers. Has a fumble. Handball back to Wilkie. All on the wing broadcast side. Chisels the kick to Philippou. He's been the man here in this last quarter. He pops a 9-iron inside the forward 50. Sit under that. They did. It belted its way out toward Henry. Coming the other way was Florent. Clean to Warner, who arches the back and goes busting up the middle of Dockland Stadium. Kick out to right, half forward, finds McLean.
McLean takes his time. He's got men leading inside 50. Ignores Papley. Goes short to Adams. 55 out. Hooks it inside the pocket. And the mark taken by Papley. Back leading to goal. And he's got it 25 out, 45-degree angle in the right forward pocket.
Let's go back to Filippo's kick.
Yes.
I don't know whether you get a bonus for hitting the roof, but he could not have made it any harder for any player, especially their small forwards, to mark that. It's unfortunate play.
It was a decision as well, Mick, because where the ball was going to get turned over from was
To flip the lead, Papley comes in and sprays it. Ugly, misses the lot. Off the side of the boot, and St Kilda's 3-point lead remains.
Filippo up to 10 touches, I think it is, and a goal in the last quarter. Just disappointing, that last kick. I would have loved this. Go to the top of the goal square and put Sydney right under the pump.
Absolutely.
Make them defend every second of this game.
5 score involvements for Matthias Filippo here in this quarter.
Your man, Mick.
The Saints have kicked 4 goals too, so they've had 6 scores. He's been involved in 5 of them. That's pretty extraordinary.
5 weeks in the VFL seem to have served him well.
It's made him hungry.
Wilkie to take it from the last line of defence. 5 inclusions for them today, the Saints. It's made them all hungry. They've really come to play in this second half. Last week the Swans were doing the chasing. This week it's the Saints. And they are chasing the Swans. Goulden off the turnover, centre of the ground. Comes to McDonald, broadcast side by foot. He pokes it back infield. They can build this up methodically. Ball in the hands of Lloyd, just in front of halfway. Swans trailed by 3, having led by 30 midway through the third.
Virtually every player in front of him drives the Swans to full forward, looking for a mark. No one can take it. Papley buzzing by. Wanganeen Malera gathers it. A high ball. It'll come down inside the defensive 50. Up goes Goulden, can't mark. Henry's there for St Kilda, in his back pocket, kicks laterally. Good kick for Wanganeen Malera.
They've just got to take a little bit of composure now. No risk football here. They've got to clear the ball, even if it's long down the line.
And also get numbers forward.
Marshall's got a mismatch too.
Tries to wait his kick for Marshall. He takes the mark. St Kilda by 3 points.
It's brilliant, Marshall.
We've got 3 minutes and change to play. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
That was a fantastic kick. Yeah. He just put it in the passage. He had a mismatch, Rowan Marshall, and he put it up and let Marshall do the rest.
So big Rowan Marshall. The hulking big man out of Southwest Victoria. Free kick in the marking contest. A push going the way of the Swans. Yeah. Brodie Grundy or McCartan, the latter.
Yeah, it's certainly a push there. Silly play. All you need to do there is spoil the ball. Don't worry about marking. Spoil the ball. You've got a stoppage on the wing.
It's time to keep your head now. McCartan kicks a flower bag inside forward 50 and Schoenmaker sits under it. Hugs it into his chest. 26 minutes gone, final term. Swans goalless so far in this final term. Mick, the Saints have 4.
Well, they're going to try to freeze the ball, and it's 2.5 minutes. You're not 9 points in front. You're only 3 points in front.
Probably need another goal, don't
they? Well, look, whoever gets the next goal, clearly, I think will win the game. And that goes for Sydney as well as the Saints.
They can't at least chip it around. Wilkie on the wing, kicks around it, trying to find a target, sticking a boot in Fox. Falls fortuitously to Adams. Sydney with the footy, kicks into the middle. Beelining it, Sinclair. Wins it for the Saints. Pokes it out in front of Marshall. Centre half forward. Has been on inside 50. Pulls the trigger, and it gets a bad bounce. It stays in. It turns back on itself. The Saints still alive in the pocket. Getting back though, Fox for Sydney. He'll clear with a kick beyond defensive 50.
Oh, a couple of all-time leg breaks. Someone's watching upstairs today. Another chance for the Saints. Sinclair drives to full forward. McCartan floats across in front of Marshall and rebounds for the Swans. Warner's away through the middle of the ground. Handball to Heaney. There's runners everywhere. Kicks inside the 50 to McDonald. He had the game on his boot this time last week, did Logan McDonald. He couldn't seal the deal.
Marshall kicks that ball to 2 players that are by themselves.
He had a shot on goal, didn't he?
He had a shot on goal?
He did.
All they do is pull it back.
Give it a bit of air, kick it across the face of goal.
And they mark it and take 30 seconds.
Raffle it off.
Yeah.
They win the game. They take their 30.
You've got to remember what happened to him last time.
Yes.
This
is his test.
Difference a week makes. From outside 50. What have you learnt, Logan? He loads up. and he shows them he's working almost.
No.
He's missed it to the left.
Faded late.
Fades late. Minor score, 2-point game. Saints cling on.
Joel, he liked that off the boot then. His hands were half
riding
up.
it.
I just faded.
You did.
I did
Most
as well.
of the crowd did.
I was watching McDonald and his hands were half up, so I thought it was going through.
There's still time.
This is going to be punched out of bounds.
Battle goes long from the back pocket. Membry comes across, punches it out.
And Membry going behind the ball now as well.
There's still time for Sydney. 2 points, St Kilda's advantage. Throw in left half forward for Sydney.
Yeah, you've got to have a forward. Definitely got to have a couple of forwards. So if this ball goes forward, Saints have got to...
Grundy wins the tap down. Filippo steals it, snaps around the corner. Territory good for the Saints. Tracking it back, McCartan. Possession good for Sydney. Goes with the kick. It'll find Adams at centre half back. They'll have one last chance, Sydney.
They need it to come up double sixes, this roll of the dice. Jordan flares it out wide. Kick will land almost in the lap of Wicks. Can he keep it in? He needs to. He does. He high inside the forward 50. McLean almost
Great
brought
spoil.
it down to the front of the pack. It's bashed away.
That's a great spoil. Great spoil.
Huge.
That is unbelievable discipline by the Saints.
And it'll be thrown in deep forward for the Swans.
Well, you don't need no forwards right now.
No. They all should be up on top of the 50-metre line.
Everybody
Every
in there.
Saints has got to be come up.
Blood rule.
Yes. Well, you know what? If there's a blood rule, he needs this player going on now, who is Patton, is it?
Yep.
He needs to tell all his forwards that there is 5 seconds to go and get everybody around his stoppage.
So Dougal Howard coming off the ground with some claret and a ball in deep forward for Sydney.
No, you've got to fill that little gap in. There's a gap between the goal square and this stoppage. Fill that in.
There's no point standing behind the ball, Mick. You're right.
Oh.
And he's just told, I've seen the hand go up. So St Kilda know that there is 5 seconds left. They've got to halve this contest. And that's it.
No free kicks.
5 seconds on the clock. A boundary throw in, 30 out from Sydney's goal. One last chance. Grundy and Marshall down for Heaney. Handball errant coming through row bottom. Siren sounds. The Saints charge back into it. They come from 30 down to win a classic by 2 points. And Sydney slip up for the second straight week. St Kilda kicked 4 goals to zip in the final term against the best fourth quarter team in the AFL. They stormed back into it, 30 down midway through the third to hold on to win by 2 points.
Oh, when the Saints go marching in, oh, when the Saints go marching in, oh, how I want to be with St Kilda when the Saints go marching in.
They kicked their last goal to hit the front at the 14-minute mark of the fourth term. And from there they were in front. They were 2 points up at that point, and they held on to win by that margin. Both teams added a further 2 behinds. St Kilda 13-6-84 defeat Sydney 11-16-82. The goal kickers for St Kilda, it is 2 to Higgins, 2 to Marshall, 2 to Cooper Sharman, and then the singles going the way of Wilson, Filippo, Membry and Wood. While for Sydney, it is Warner, Heaney, McDonald and McInerney, all with 2. Singles to Papley, Florent and Campbell, as well as Fox. And really, the story in that fourth quarter was Mateus Filippo, 5 weeks in the VFL, comes back in as a midfielder and has 12 disposals, 3 clearances, 4 inside 50s and 5 score involvements in that final quarter. Our experts, Mick Malthouse, Brent Harvey.
Benny, just go to the full game there. I'd be interested to see what he's had, given 26. The fact that he's had 12 in the last quarter.
26 in the goal, Mick.
So he's had nearly half his possession
in the last quarter.
But the thing is about them, outside of that unbelievable whatever kick it was, almost every other one was spot on. Good marking. His election to kick that football, which got turned over, that was the only blemish.
Yep, I agree.
If you ever look at it. But I mean, quite frankly, at 3/4 time, I just couldn't see how you can hold Sydney to no goals and kick enough goals, which in this case, going from half time they've kicked 9 goals 2 to 3 goals 11. 9-2 to 3-11. Well, it's just better. I guess in front of the goals. I thought Rowan Marshall was fantastic. Philippou was just tremendous last quarter. And it's hard to say that any of the Swans players actually had 4 quarters of football. Very difficult to find a 4-quarter player.
What a difference a week makes. So you think about St Kilda Port Adelaide last week here, absolutely unwatchable. Today in the second half, the Saints are absolutely unstoppable.
But it didn't change for Logan McDonald, who had the game on his boot again from outside 50 and was unable to win the game with a match-winning goal.
I tell you what, though, if you're Logan McDonald, Boomer, it's not like you'd have the same mental demons you had last week. Last week he abandoned the process. That looked like a mess. Yep. For all money, 90% of the way, that looked like it was a goal.
No, absolutely it did. And it's funny because he'll be kicking himself last week after the game. It'll probably take him Wednesday or Thursday to get over. He gets a couple of days to prepare for this game, and then it happens nearly again to him. So he's going to be fighting some demons in the next 48 hours, put it that way. But, gee, what a game. And you know what? Credit to where credit's due. They had 4 goals at half-time. 4 goals, 4. They were at half-time, and they've kicked 13, so they've kicked 9 in the second half and kept probably the best team in the competition goalless in the last quarter. They were fantastic. Their pressure lifted though, Mick. Their pressure got them back in the game.
Through the roof. I'm strapped in a few of those players. Hunter Clark, I know he's coming under some criticism. That young kid has copped so many facial injuries and then he busted his collarbone, or he busted his collarbone first, I think, then his jaw. I don't know what he's even had for the game, but I just like the way it's a different type of player to play through the middle.
Yep.
Like they've been, what did Sinclair have at the end of the day? Because
28 in the end, Mick.
Yes, and Wenger and Miller had
28 as well.
28. Yeah, so him off the half-back flank. He is such a one-touch, fantastic player. He just really does set up. I know the Saints have only won 6 games, and the likelihood of them taking over 8th spot, mind you, Adelaide have made some ground up on Brisbane. You can't see the Saints making the 8, but it's this now change of Philippou coming in, and he's just a big, strong player around the ground. It's hard. You can't go with him in the air, and he's such a beautiful kick. Now, he might only have 25, 30 kicks, but if you can have an output that finds a target nearly every time or knocks over goals, you'd have him instead of a 35, 37 player ball possession getting player every day of the week, because what you need is quality. The Saints have lacked that quality going forward. I'm not saying they're out of the woodwork by a long shot, but this is an outstanding victory. Top 2 sides this weekend have been knocked over, which is quite amazing at round 16.
It is quite a horizontal season, isn't it? Teams are quite even with one another. Lauren Borden will be down in the very happy St Kilda rooms. If they're not with you yet, Loz, they will be in a moment.
I do. I've got them here. They're just actually making their way into the circle. You might have been able to hear a fair bit of cheering. They're a pretty happy bunch. Sometimes they file in fairly quickly, but not today. It was Jack Steele and Carl Wilkie at the very front cheering and screaming as they came in there. Mason Woods just picked up a bottle of water as well to throw around. So Showmaker with his first win. He's been shoved into the middle and now he's pulled back out to sing the song with his teammates.
When the Saints go marching in, oh, when the Saints go marching in, oh, I want to be in St Kilda. Oh, when the Saints go marching in, oh, when the Saints go marching in, oh, when the Saints go marching in, oh, I want to be in St Kilda. Oh, when the Saints go marching in.
There's not one person in these rooms that isn't smiling right now after watching that game, watching the smiles on the players' faces as well. Pretty happy rooms down here.
Great work, Lauren. A very good point from Steve in Wangaratta. He says, don't forget Dougal Howard's goal-saving effort, which he went flying into about row G in the Sydney supporters club behind the goal, supporters group behind the goal, and just got a fingertip on it and saved the goal, and that's a game-changing moment now.
Yeah, and can I just add on to that? We're very, I am anyway, critical of the AFL from time to time, but when that wasn't even reviewed until going back, so it just tells you that these things are reviewed, and it's got to be categoric. Clearly, when you've got a player a ball and nothing else, it makes life easier, but it was just fantastic.
Let's very quickly go back to Lauren Borden in the rooms.
Ben, I'm down here with Cal Wilkie. What a great win to be a part of. Can you just sum it up for me? It looked like everyone was absolutely wrapped in the rooms, especially as you were kind of leading that and the Saints at the very end of the song.
Yeah, no, it's been a frustrating year. A lot of close losses, everyone's coming after us, and within the four walls, we've been playing like all right football. We've been having a crack, and we've had all these close losses, and we sort of just zoned all that noise out and just focus on what we can control, and that's our effort and that's our contest, and that's what sort of held us in good stead last year. And it's nice to get a close win.
And how do you go with that frustration when you have lost probably more than a handful of games by under 10 points? What's it like when every game you're just falling that little bit short until now?
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's an interesting place to be. You're sort of more disappointed than a big loss because you're so close. And we've probably been lacking putting on the scoreboard and being able to score goals. But we know our fight's been there and our defensive ability's been there. So yeah, it's nice to be able to get a win in a close game and being able to actually put it in front and hold that lead in the last 5 minutes.
What sparked the fight back for you? You were 30 points down, and then basically in the blink of an eye you were back within reach of Sydney.
Yeah, that second quarter we just went away from what the plan was, and that was pressure and probably the way we moved the ball. They such a zone system team, and we probably went a bit straight line, and we wanted to sort of go around them a bit more, and we did that in the first quarter, and then Ross reiterated it in the halftime meeting, and we got back to that. But the effort and the pressure and the intensity lifted in the second half, and I think that's what got us done.
And down in the back line, Jimmy Webster just copped a bit of a knock, probably from a fend off from Isaac Heaney. Is it all right? What did you make of it all? Kind of looked like it was just within the play.
Yeah, I was behind him. I didn't really see it. I just saw Jimmy dropped, and then he was bleeding. So, could have been a free kick. I guess it wasn't. But, I didn't see the replay, so I'm not sure exactly what happened.
He's a bit of a tough cookie. He was all right to go on. And just a word on Mateus Philippou, who's come back in. He had to hone his craft in the VFL, and then he played so well today. It looks like he's really been working on exactly what Ross Lyon wanted.
Yeah, definitely. I think, second year, it's tough. He's still only 19. He was so close to being drafted last year. So, yeah, he just had to go back, get some confidence, and he's been playing really well in the twos, and his attitude has been awesome to just go back and get better. And, he sort of probably got hounded for it to want to actually go back and get his confidence up. But a second-year player, you can't just keep playing ones, and if you're not growing in your ability, then it's what's needed. And his attitude has been first class. He's an absolute professional, and he was awesome today. I think we really saw the talent that he is, and I'm wrapped for him.
Cal, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. Go and enjoy the win.
Thank you, Lauren.
There is Cal Wilkie downstairs with Lauren Borden chatting through this win. Just picking up on a point that was made by Lauren chatting to Cal was around the incident involving Isaac Heaney, who is a Brownlow medal fancy, sort of flicked an arm back off the ball just before he made a lead and hit Webster in the beak, drew a little bit of blood. You both flinch reaction was, no, he'll be fine.
I still believe that. No, I don't think it's... I caught one many years ago when Barry Hall threw his arm back into the stomach of a West Coast fullback or someone's and they went down and they said, it's off the ball, it's behind play.
That was
the Moose Maguire one.
That was Staker, and he broke his jaw in 9 places, mate.
No,
mate. Yeah. I'm only joking.
Yeah, no, and the thing was, he was in the play because he's up on the lead. So I reckon he wasn't at the ball, but he was in the play because he was the next choice lead to player. And he's just slapped. He does something that most forwards do, is try to break any sort of physical touch by your opponent. I'd be disappointed if
I agree with Mick.
He can't go for that.
Just very quickly, those of you listening to us in Sydney and ACT on News Radio, you are about to leave us to return to network. Do you reckon you can do the votes? No, not in 15 seconds. Just repeating, it was St Kilda winning by 2 points, 13-6, 84 over Sydney, 11-16, 82. That was the final score from here. For those of you sticking with us, Brisbane are leading by 20 points over Adelaide. We'll take you to that game in just a moment. They're 5 minutes away from three-quarter time in that match, but we do need to tie up some loose ends here. The other one, just quickly, was Rowan Marshall, who late in the game had a ping on goal, had a couple of Saints players out inside 50. Be a pretty relieved man, Rowan Marshall, I would think, tonight.
I agree.
I'm going to give him I'm going to say he's had such a big game, and I don't know whether or not he was aiming for the goals or he's got it in between the two teammates, but that could have sewn the game up there and then.
I think he could have gave the ball, and it's easy from up here, Mick.
Yeah, of course.
The game looks easy, doesn't it?
And we're talking late in the game.
Absolutely.
130 minutes of football. He's exhausted. Yeah.
I thought the kick could have went directly at goal. I didn't mind the direction. I thought it could have had more air.
Loop.
And then the St Kilda player, like the Membry one, could have made up his own mind whether he marks it or he lets it go through.
I agree. And they don't play a selfish game.
No.
So we pick out one thing and say his decision making there was we don't know because the execution could well have been I was aiming for them. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I can tell you,
played a good game.
Tell you categorically, if he didn't play, they don't win today.
Yeah.
And that's against Grundy, who's been in fact, what were the stats with Grundy?
Come back to that because we need to get the votes in. Is that
no? He's got them all.
Remit?
He's right up with that.
I got the
Benny,
votes.
Benny, you're talking about a bloke that's been around for 40 years in football.
A wise man once told me, fail to prepare to fail. His name was Dennis Pagan.
There you go.
He had a few other good sayings.
He did.
I got some other favourites.
I didn't say it was my favourite. I just said he had a good
Not in
saying.
this time slot, I don't think.
What have you got?
What do I got? I gave one vote to Callum Wilkie today. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. He had 26 touches, but more importantly, 14 marks. Played on a Marty for most of the game, and he didn't kick a goal. Kept him to 8 or 9 touches. I thought he was outstanding.
Again?
Filippo, for his last quarter antics, Mick, and you picked that right at the about 3-minute mark of the second quarter, the last quarter. He ended up with 26 touches. 12 of those touches come in the last quarter. And a goal, and Joel, as you mentioned.
So career high, 26 touches, never had more than 19 in a game. 10 score involvements. He had 5 in the last quarter. The Saints scored 6 times in that last quarter. He had 5 of them just in the last quarter. No other Saint had more than 6 score involvements for the game. He had 10.
Huge reason why they won the game, and Mick's already touched on the guy who I gave 3 votes to. I thought Rowan Marshall, 16 touches, 2 goals, went head-to-head with one of the informed ruckmans of the competition in Grundy, and I thought he beat him convincingly, and I totally agree with you, Mick. If he was not out there, St Kilda are nowhere near that.
A big thank you to everyone right across the afternoon. Joel Peterson, great to see you again. A bit of love for you on the SMS line.
Good to have some family listening.
Lauren Borden downstairs, Mick Malthouse, Brent Harvey, our record holders. Also to Con, our production man with the audio engineer, I think they like to go with. A Cash Fodder back in the studio as well. It was St Kilda winning by 13-6, 84 over Sydney, 11-16, 82. A 2-point victory, flipping the script from last week where they went down by 2 points to Port Adelaide. We are about to send you off to the Gabba. So Brisbane and Adelaide going at it. 12-7-79, the Brisbane Lions leading Adelaide 8-5-53. You'll be joining your call team of Quentin Hull, Michael Price, Jeff White, Jason Ackermanis and Zane Bojack on the boundary. Just repeating the votes. Callum Wilkie, 1 vote. Mateus Filippo, 2. Ryan Marshall with 3. St Kilda by 2 points. Their 6th win of the season. Sydney's 3rd loss. You're off to the Gabba.
Joining us at the Gabba, welcome Quentin Hull.